Okay.
Okay, it should be working now soon.
Okay.
There you go. I think that's right. I'm live. Alright, so everybody should be seeing my Twitter.
Oh, okay.
My Twitter.
I see it now.
And my Streamlabs link. Oh, I gotta mute it because I'm hearing myself. That's not good.
Oh, okay.
My Twitter. Okay. I was like, I'm hearing myself talking. Alright, let's. All my streams start with me talking about I gotta share the links. So that's how this one's gonna start because that's how I roll. I gotta share my own links at the beginning of my stream.
BreadTube.
Okay, live now. Let me post it in Tankers.
I already did it.
Hey, the thumbnail didn't work. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I did put a thumbnail. Yeah, damn it. That's okay. And you put it in here.
Yep.
And put in Sean's server too. Like, those doofuses like watching sometimes. Okay, so let me close this. I close that. I keep this up. So, let me actually pop out the chat. So I can see what these doofuses are saying. Oops, something went wrong.
Uh-oh.
Alright, well, let's not worry about the chat.
Oh, I still see it.
Do the intro. Oh no, I ruined it. There you go.
Oh,
yeah. The rhythm of the night. This is the rhythm of my life. My life. Oh yeah. The rhythm of my life.
That cat is awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe I gotta make a real intro with that and put my logo on it probably at some point.
Oh, you should.
Yeah. I also wanted to show this.
Okay, with the permission.
How funny is this? Hold on.
Okay, with the permission of my wife. Here we go. You ready? You ready?
What is going on there?
Okay. That lingered in memory.
With my wife's permission.
Okay, with the permission of my wife. Here we go. You ready? You ready?
That's so weird. Look at him. And then he shows his muscles. He's been working out or something. He does have some muscle.
Okay. That lingered in memory.
He was used to be
Okay, with the permission of my wife.
Well, we got this, but I'm gonna mute this for a bit so we can talk. Oh, why isn't my slideshow working? Oh, here we go. Slideshow time. So, today you were on Tonky Time and you did a Reaper challenge.
Yeah.
The Carolina Reapers. How was that? Explain to us the sensation of the Carolina Reapers.
Okay, I want to explain like the smell and the taste of them first, because it was really like that was like a really hard part to get over. Like it's like burning. It smells like burning vomit. Is like the best way I could describe it. And I'm sorry to anybody who likes the Carolina Reapers. It's just that it's just really like an overpowering smell and even taste. I could hardly taste it really because it was just burning. I feel like I kind of singed my taste buds a little bit, maybe. But yeah, it was very interesting. Very interesting competition.
You did pretty good though. I was surprised. You did very well. You lasted till the end, and you was super close. Like it was anybody's game at the end there. Yeah, it could have been anyone's game.
I thought I was gonna tap out a little sooner than how far it went. I didn't even really realize the time as well, because it's like an hour felt like it went by in no time. I didn't realize that had been that much.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
my
it went on
gosh.
for a while. Well, they were saying they thought it
Yeah.
was gonna last like 10 minutes max, and it ended up lasting so much more.
Yeah,
You
everybody
guys went on
like
for like
held out really long.
yeah, you guys went on for like an hour and a half. It was crazy.
Yeah. Because some like those videos, we watched some people eating them before this. I remember we watched them. One guy, he just like is immediately as soon as he, I think even before he took a even chomp out of it, he was already like in pain and and just going nuts about it. So so yeah, I was curious of how it would go for everyone.
Oh, I know people were suffering, and at the end, towards the end, I could see Rainmaker was really suffering.
Yeah.
We could see it with you, but you were pretty. You had a good poker face. Like it was tough to see how bad it was affecting you, really. But
Yeah, I thought I was gonna end up crying a lot more through it. I'm surprised I didn't.
no, no, you held up really well. It was amazing. If anybody was here and didn't see it, Chris did a Carolina Reaper challenge on Tonky Time channel. If you guys look up Tonky Time, you can find it. It was fun. It was her and two other people. They had a good time. She ended up being one of the last two, and it ended very close. It could have been. It was anybody's game at the end.
That was me at the end.
Yeah, but it was too
this
much.
lady there.
But it was way too much by the end. But yeah, like I said, Rainmaker looked like he was ready to quit like any second, and
Yeah.
it was just whoever did it first. It was so close.
Even Thrax, he did really well too.
Yeah,
But
Drax
they
did well
both
too.
had like I think they both had experience, like they were saying, with like peppers like that, really spicy peppers like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a big mistake is the seeds.
Yeah, the seeds
Yeah, so
were
Thrax, I could hear
the
Thrax at the end
seeds.
saying the seeds were really messing him up. He was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
could really feel the seeds are really messing," and that's where like a lot of the hotness is in the seeds.
In the seeds.
Yeah.
I think the taste, Dax mentioned the taste of the seeds, and yeah, I agree. The
Yeah,
taste of
it
the
was
seeds
bad.
once you bite into it is just really awful.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I've had some really hot peppers. I mean, I'm from Peruvian, and we have some very hot peppers ourselves. But Carolina Reaper is supposed to be one of the hottest. I have no idea how that feels,
Yeah.
but I've had some really
Oh
hot
my
ones. That's why I was
gosh.
telling you, like, you should try it beforehand because you have no idea
Yeah.
what you're in for. Like, it's gonna be a shock to your system when you first try it because you're not gonna understand. You gotta have at least a little idea of what you're going into.
I'm glad I like stuck that little piece on my tongue last night to see
Mm-hmm.
how it was gonna
See how it
feel,
feels.
so I wasn't too shocked. Yeah, because I think I would have been in a lot worse shape if I didn't.
Yeah, it was really close. Though. I was impressed. You did very well.
Thank you. I'm glad I had the Pepto though, because like my stomach
Yes.
doesn't hurt as much. I know I didn't swallow it, but the
Mm-hmm.
parts that I did, like I felt my stomach start to get really
Oh,
tense and like kind of crampy.
imagine you didn't have the Pepto in you.
Yeah,
That would have been so much worse.
I'm so glad I didn't swallow any of it though as well. Oh my God, but the end part there, like just holding like the
Mm-hmm.
pepper in your mouth after we chewed it to see how long. Oh my God, that part so
That's
messed
bad.
me up. So messed me up. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take
I
it.
think I don't have the slideshow looping. I think that's why it's stuck on this one, which is the best one. But I gotta loop it. Okay, loop it. There you go. So I was like, what is going on? It stayed on that one for a long time. Which is the best one of all of them. I love that.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah. I gotta get some more gifts and stuff to put on my slideshow. I only have a few things right now.
Yeah.
Next time, I'll work on it. Or if you guys have like memes or something to send me to put on there, then maybe I'll do it if I feel like it.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's rough. Well, they're talking about doing more competitions. I wonder what other kind of competitions they could do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious too. That was really fun.
Oh yeah, how
And
was
like
it?
the lots was put together.
How was it different when you had the ones that you hydrated from the ones that you didn't?
Like the ones that I had a
Mm-hmm.
couple put in a like I think three in a cup before, and
Mm-hmm.
those ones they had already like gotten rehydrated. They were like really hot, but like the ones that weren't as rehydrated, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, they were like the taste of it and like just the overpowering. I think it did feel more spicy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it just the taste of it as well. When it was dry, it tasted even worse for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, so was it?
So I liked the yeah
Is it
the ones that.
hotter hydrated or not? You think,
Mm,
or is it about the
I'm
same?
not too sure. I'd say maybe about the same.
Yeah,
But
I would have thought the
maybe the dry
hydration
one
would
would be a
be.
bit more
I would have thought the
worse.
hydration would have been hotter. Why did
Yeah,
it
because like
pause?
this like everything just re starts to like reactivate, I guess, or something like from
Yeah.
like the
Well, plus it's
seeds
more
get the
water that
moisture
would
in them
spread
and
around the oils too. Like if it's dry, it's only your
yeah.
saliva that's spreading it around. But if it's been
Yeah.
hydrated, there's extra water that's soaked in, right? That'll push around.
We watched that one lady that she had the one that she ate dry, and compared to others that had one that was like a fresh one, did
Mm-hmm.
seem like she had a rough time. But yeah, just the it was, yeah. Oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
never again, never again.
Never again. Well, we'll see what the next challenge is. He said they weren't gonna do. Maybe
Yeah.
they won't do like spicy. Next time it'll be a different kind of challenge. Maybe it'll be something interesting you'll enjoy doing too. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Well,
The next challenge.
yeah, but what could it be? Like I don't know what else it could. What else would
Yeah.
be challenging? I don't know. Trivia's cool. I don't know if they're into that. It didn't seem like many people were into trivia, right? Because I think originally the it was gonna be doing trivia, right?
Yeah,
Originally
and seeing like I think it
trivia
was
while you're
if you got a
eating or something.
question, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and to see how well you answer the question, and then if you got one wrong, to eat another one, like for the wrong answer.
Mm.
So, but it was still just I think like spitting it out, or if you wanted to, like Rainmaker, I think he ate two. I think he ate one whole in the beginning, maybe one in the third round or something. I can't remember, or the one before the third round
He had
or
an
fourth
extra
round. I
one
can't
too
remember.
than you did
Yeah, yeah,
because his camera cut out. So
because
he
his
like it's
camera
kind
cut
of like
out.
he took an extra one as a penalty. I was like, "There's a penalty shot
I
for
know.
for missing out." Man, I don't know how you guys did it though. That would have drove me nuts. I mean, I like spicy food, but at some point it's like, oh, I need to.
Too
It's
much.
too much. Yeah.
I don't know how. Like, I don't know what people would eat that with. Is what I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what type of like. I don't know. It must just be a very spicy food.
Mm-hmm.
How would because
You
it's so
guys still gotta
overpowering. I don't
flip
know.
it.
It's like not. It's hard to like even enjoy it. It's just so hot.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Well, we talked about that. That was interesting. It was fun to watch this morning.
Yeah, it was. I'm
But
glad
now,
you enjoyed it.
yeah, it was a good time. You did really good. So that's cool. Now we could do my window capture. Let's close this slideshow. Yeah. So little forward. Destiny did a stream with Vaush. I think it was just Destiny streaming, and then Vaush popped up because he was saying something. And I guess Vaush didn't like what he was saying because he was. I guess Destiny's whole point. I'm gonna say a point because this isn't like what I wanted to talk about, but how like how it starts is Destiny's basically talking about these super leftist dudes like like Vosh, like Surfs and them, and he brings up other people like H Bomber guy. I never watch his videos. I don't know anything about him. And that Abigail person, philosophy tube, is that what they're called? Something like that, right?
I think so. I
Something like that.
think that's what it was before.
But he said something about like these people are super like socialist lefties, like commie lefties, and they make tons of money on the internet, but they don't do stuff with it that would be that would go with what they are, and he's not saying you're socialist, so share all your money, but but he's saying like, you'd think you'd put a large chunk of that money. You got so much money, you'd think you'd put a lot of it into, advancing your cause and helping people out and stuff like that, because that's kind of like the whole moral point of their economic idea, right? Like of their what they think economics is. They ascribe a big thing about Destiny, because I watched another interview with him, and a big thing about him is that he says that people ascribe morality onto capitalism, and he's like, I don't ascribe morality, and capitalism can be good or bad. It depends how you use it, right? Like, it's really a tool. It's an economic tool. It's not, there's no good or bad to it. It's not more, it doesn't have moral agency, right?
Yeah.
So they get into this argument, and I think at one point they start talking about the tactics that people use in making their videos as to whether they are honest or not, whether they're talking facts or being misleading and possibly lying, and what's more important. Basically, it gets to a discussion on what's more important when you're making content or in debates or discussing these things, is whether it's the point is to be honest and speak truth, or if it's better to steer people away from fascism. So then, so basically Destiny's saying he'd rather be truthful, and he'd rather have the facts, and he'd rather not spread lies or misinformation or mislead people. He'd rather be honest all the time. Whereas Vaush sees his virtue as, it's okay to lie or mislead if you're getting people to move away from fascism, which to me is utter bullshit, right? But we'll listen to it now, and we'll get to that and see what they say. At this point, they're talking about philosophy tube, and or like these little poppy videos where you make things easy to swallow for people.
Do you have Is there a problem with that though? Those videos are very digestible to a general audience.
The problem's gonna be that you're gonna see it late, because you'll see it on the stream, right?
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay. That's because he's a piece of shit. Tiffany. Nice tip.
Problem with ultra digestible pop philosophy is oftentimes it gets a lot of stuff wrong. For instance, Sam Harris, or Jordan Peterson.
Well, that one already got me mad. Destiny said, now Jordan Peterson. Okay, Jordan Peterson, I think, talks a lot of nonsense. So yeah, he gets things wrong. Hey, Naomi. But Sam Harris, what does Sam Harris get wrong? What does he spread out there that's wrong information? I don't think so. I think when Sam Harris talks, he's being as honest as he can. It's maybe some of it is opinion, which is his opinion. Some of it's fact and some of it's opinion, but either way, I think when he talks, he's being as honest as he can.
I was like,
let's not compare to though. My problem with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson.
Oh my God! Wait, I'm sorry. I had a brain blast real quick. I watched her video on consciousness, and the lack of understanding of almost anything she was talking about was one of the most dog shit videos. Oh my God, it was so bad. I could even go back and watch that again tonight. It was so bad. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. But yeah, sure anyway, I think all of her videos are dog shit. I think that she's legitimately like a waste of space.
Videos are dog shit.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, yes, I got it.
So, wait, okay, this might just be where we differ here.
Sure.
But my issues with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris aren't so much that they're wrong, it's that they lead people in the wrong political direction. I think that pop content of all kinds, all pop content.
Let me know when you catch up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you see what he said there. His problem with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris isn't that they're necessarily wrong, it's that they lead people away, or what do they say, lead people to the wrong side, I guess, politically, which is stupid in the first place. Sam Harris is he's a Democrat. He's super liberal, totally against Trump. He bashed Trump all 4 years that Trump was president from when he got elected to the end, and criticized Trump the entire time. So how is that leading people away from the left, right? If anything, Sam Harris is leading people to the left. or at least towards a middle moderate area, and you can choose from there which way you want to go. But there's no way he's leading people to the right. That makes zero sense. But as you can see, his problem isn't that they're telling the truth, which basically he's saying, yeah, they're telling the truth, but they're going the wrong way. Like, how is that even morally acceptable? Like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, the way I see it is, if you think you have to lie to bring people over to your side, then your side probably sucks. Like, your side probably isn't the right way to go, because it's not the honest side then, you know? Just stupid, no side is the honest side. But I mean, like, at least give people the truth and let them decide. This seems more like a
feeding you what you
like a brainwashing
truthful or something.
Yeah, like we have to, you know, we can't tell them the full truth, because then they'll go towards the right. And it's like, if you think telling people the truth leads them to the right, that's a weird thing, right? It's super telling.
Yeah.
Like what his ideas are. It kind of seems like he thinks, he's not confident that his side is the right side, but he still wants people to go to that side. It's weird. It's like the truth leads to which. This totally exposes everything to me. Like, I always think about these guys as being, I always figured that these guys believed the things they said. When you talk about crime stats, when you talk about like capitalism and stuff like that, I always feel like I believe they were just misled, you know, and they believe the things they say, or they don't believe. Yeah, they believe the things they say and they argue it, thinking that that's, you know, the right way. And maybe they have some cognitive dissonances or something. But instead, from like what Vaush is saying, if this is true for all BreadTubers, I don't think it is, but I think it's true for a good amount of them, because they've kind of have this philosophy that I've kind of been noticing. But it seems like a lot of them know they're wrong. A lot of them know the truth, but they can't accept it online. They can't show they accept it, and they can't show that they believe in that stuff, because they feel like if we do that, then people are going to go to the right. So that's crazy. Say like with the crime stats things, right? They never want to accept that, even though it's a fact. FBI stats are, you know, calculated. We know these things are true, but they don't want to accept that. So they'll deny it, right? But does that mean that they actually do accept it, and they're just lying about denying it, and they come up with excuses to like not accept it, like to not visibly accept it? It's very strange. It's very disingenuous. But I'll tell you what, this means that you can't have a debate with these people. There's no expectation of good faith arguments with these people then. If you know that it's in their moral philosophy to lie to you in order to get people to come to their side, then how can you have an honest debate with them? You never know when they're trying to lie to sway people to their side or being honest. You just will never know. And I remember this happening with Sean, right? And now all this time with Sean debated the Surfs guy, Lance, and all this time I thought this Surfs guy was just kind of like not bright or something, you know, like he just wasn't getting it. I'm like, damn, how does he not get it? Sean's explained certain things so many times and he just doesn't get it. And now I'm thinking, no, maybe he does get it, but he just can't admit he is. So he tries to logic his way out of it and dance around it, right? Sean did a thing where he told them, where they were talking about the black family, and he was saying, Sean said, you know, brought up the stats for fatherless homes. And he said, well, why do you think that is? Which is a weird question, because it's not part of the conversation. Why is not part of the conversation. Just what is part of the conversation. But he asked why. So he badgered Sean for an answer. Sean is like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's not my place to know those things. You know, go ask the community. It's not my place. But he kept badgering him. But why do you think it is? What's your opinion on? What do you think? So Sean, you know, come just off the top of his head, he's like, I don't know, maybe fatherless homes, you know, that they don't have many, you know, most, you know, the fathers don't stick around in large quantities, so they have fatherless homes, and that leads to this and that. So then he says, well, why do you think they have fatherless homes? You know, why you think they have so many kids out of wedlock and blah, blah. And he says, you know, and again, there's another thing that he's like, I don't know, and he badgers him about it. So then Sean finally answers, he says, I don't know, maybe because they use condoms less. And, you know, and this makes him go nuts, because the whole purpose that this Lance guy is doing, he's not there to argue honestly, right? He's there to argue. He's there to pin Sean as being a racist. That's all his entire purpose. He's not there to be like, let me have an open mind and we're going to have a debate and we'll see who convinces who. Not at all his purpose. His entire purpose of talking to Sean is he wants to pwn him and he wants to pin them down as a racist and call them out and say, I got your mask off, because that's what they always say, right? These guys wear masks and dog whistle, and they use all these buzzwords and shit that are bullshit, complete bullshit. Now, especially now that we know that their tactic is to lie to lead people to their side, now I know whenever there's an argument that they don't want to defend against, like 1350, they always, anytime you bring up 1350, they say, oh, that's a dog whistle for white supremacists. And it's like, oh, now I know. No, it isn't. You're being disingenuous. I know you're lying to lead people towards your side, because now this, Vaush came out and said it. He's a liar. There's no way you can ever debate Vaush now in good faith, ever. He's admitted that that's his tactic. And it's funny, he goes back and forth with it in this discussion, but in the end, now we know when they say these things and they say that it's a dog whistle, that's a lie. They accept what you're saying. They know that's true, but they have no argument with it. So they have to go with, it's a dog whistle, and they have to just throw a buzzword out there, which is total bullshit. But that's what they have to do. Now we know, like, that's a tactic, and it's not something they honestly believe. All this time, I was thinking these guys were just, like, totally misled, maybe not very bright, or maybe had some cognitive dissonances, and they're doing the same thing that Christian apologetics used to do back in the atheist days, like, the atheists used to argue, and they would straw man and, dance around these things and not accept certain things, just really play dumb. And it's like, oh yeah, they're not really dumb. They're just playing dumb. Like, that's what it is, because they can't, they can't in public accept your position, because then their entire audience, who are people they've led to their side, is going to start thinking, right? They're going to be like, wait a minute, it really is it really is like a cult of personality. Like, the second they start seeing through what Lance or what Vaush is doing, what any of these guys are doing, their audience is going to start saying, oh, wait a minute. Like, is that true, or is that
thinking this way?
I think a good portion of their audience is just like them, and they don't care about what the truth is. They just like they don't care what the truth is. They just want people to come to their side. I think some of their audience is like that too. So no matter what happens, they're always going to be like, nope, this side is the best. This side won. It's team sports. No matter what comes out as true, what they see as facts, they're still gonna see it one way.
Yeah.
And you could kind of tell this by their attitude towards arguing with people. If you say anything that they don't like, it turns into, you're racist and this and that and blah, blah. And then, like, I was trying to have a conversation on Twitter with people about transgender women in sports. And I was asking them for studies. I was like, oh, you're saying this. Can I see a citation on that? And it turns into, you can't find it yourself because blah, blah, blah. You're just trying to win and blah. And I'm like, I'm not trying to win anything. I'm just asking you.
Not, yeah.
I just would like to see the information for myself. I'm not even saying I don't believe you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even saying that. I accept what you're saying, but I would like to see the information for myself. I don't want to, I don't just take random people on Twitter's word for it and believe things as fact, without actually looking at the info myself. That's ridiculous to do. But they get mad if you question them and tell them, hey, can I look at that info and see that citation?
Yeah.
And they get mad.
It's weird
and then,
that they get defensive about that when you're just asking for information.
Yeah, that's it. At that point, they already start going into defense mode, and they're like, oh, they're saying I'm a liar. This is common sense. Why don't you know? And I'm like, but if it's common sense, how come I can't find it on Google? I've been looking for it and I can't find it. And then the one guy told me, oh, that's because you're looking for it super fast because you're just trying to win an argument. I'm like, okay, well, you're not trying to win the argument, so take your time, find it for me and send it to me when you find it. If it's common sense, if it's a common knowledge thing, like you said, you should be able to find it pretty quick anyway, like it should be all over the place, that information, but he couldn't, he couldn't find that and never got back to me with that information. Obviously, just kept every time would keep replying with more, it's just because you're a transphobe, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, I've been here trying to have a reasonable conversation with you, and you're just acting like an asshole. If you want to take it that way, I can be an asshole too, but I haven't been. So it's like, it's weird that you just switched over to being an asshole for no reason. All right, but let's continue. The whole thing is, these people lie in order to get people to their side. Their whole goal is to lead people away from fascism. It's not to be right. It's not to be honest. It's not, they don't have debates for the purpose of, let's debate and find, unless just an honest, open debate and have a conversation and see who leads who, which way we go. Has nothing to do with that. They don't care about that. All they care about is leading people to their side. And if they have to lie to do it, they will, which is the progressive mindset of by any means necessary. Same thing, TYT always says it. All these progressives always say it.
which is 98% of what the average person will be engaging with is going to be poppy, derivative, simplistic stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't think pop content is bad, but just
as long as it leads people in a good direction, I think it's generally pretty defensible.
I think there needs to be some adherence or conformity to truth. I don't think it can just. I don't think you can just lie and move people in the right direction, and that makes it okay.
100% right.
What about a simplistic and somewhat reductive video that has the right spirit, directs people towards more?
You see, I'll let it go a bit so I can catch up. But you see, Vaush is already defending lying. All Destiny is saying, he doesn't mind if it's pop, if it's reductionist, if it's like, easy, you made it easy for people to swallow. That's fine. All of that is perfectly fine, he's saying. What he's saying is he doesn't like the aspect where you are lying. Like, you shouldn't lie to people. You shouldn't feed people bad information, is basically what he's saying. It's like, why can't you give them good information? But Vaush is already trying to dance around it, as you see. He's like, well, what if we do this? What about this stuff? Why would he do any of that? And why wouldn't he just be like, no, you're right, people shouldn't lie? But because he thinks people should lie. That's exactly what it is. Oh, God. Let's see what some people are saying in the chat. My very first Valentine's this year. All right, Naomi. Pandemic time Valentine's, yeah. If it wasn't for you and Chris, I wouldn't have half the fun things to read into. Yeah. Yeah, Les has been, he replies a lot to the stuff that we post. It's funny stuff, man.
Glad you enjoy it, Les.
Yeah, the craziness of Ian Miles Chong and the surfs and shit. It's such PragerU. It's funny because, I'm on the left. I'm not super far left. But I call out the craziness on both sides. I don't mind people on the right if they're not super far right. Moderate right people, that's cool. Moderate left people is cool. I don't like the far left. I don't like the far right. And this is exactly why. Because they have this tactic. The far right are a bunch of liars. The far left are a bunch of liars. Both of their tactics is just to bring people to their sides by any means. They don't give a shit, if they're telling you the truth or not. It doesn't matter to them. What they want is numbers, because both of them have small numbers. Moderate people are of course, the majority. Most people are reasonable here. But it's these extremists, these radical people who want more numbers, and their whole goal is to get more numbers, because without that, they have no power at all.
More substantive work. Genuinely asking.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Also, if Jackie wants to come and talk later, 100% we can do it. Okay, I guarantee that all my trans takes are better than yours. You fuck piece of shit. Okay, what were you saying? Sorry, this person is harassing me in your chat. One of your mods.
I don't even like Destiny.
Okay, sorry. Totally repeat your last thing again.
What was I saying? Oh, that's one of my mods.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They call me
funny.
Okay.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Wait. To be fair, lots of
people.
Okay. Anyway, so let's say you've pop content, and it's a little misleading, a little reductive, but the message is good. It pushes people in the right direction, and at the end, they have links to resources that you could read up on to be more educated on it. Do you think that's acceptable?
So I just don't know what you mean in terms of reductive.
Wait a bit. Did you catch up yet? Oh, okay. Well, there's a little craziness there where Destiny didn't catch it. He said it was a little misleading, and Destiny didn't catch that. He went for the reductionist part. He's probably not fully listening. He's reading the chat, so he's a little distracted. But that's the whole problem. He said, what if it's misleading, a little poppy, a little reductionist, but then it has resources? What you don't understand is when people catch you in a lie, you are now a liar. So anything you say is bullshit. So let's say I watch one of these videos, right? It's poppy, it's easy to swallow, it's reductionist, and it's just a little misleading, and there's resources in the chat. So then I look at the resource and I read it, and it contradicts what they're saying in the video. You know what I'm saying? Why would I watch your video again? Why would I watch another one of your videos? I'd be like, well, they showed me their sources, and they showed me that they can't even read their own sources right. At least to me, that's what it would be. What's honestly happening is they're misleading you. But to me, not knowing that they're misleading me, what I'm seeing is they don't know how to read their own resources and they've had the information wrong. So wouldn't I just go and find someone on YouTube who I think does have the information right and is using the sources properly? And I don't think that Vaush even realizes. This is where Destiny, in a bit, he's going to get into the discussion of, I think you're doing more damage to your own side than good, you know? And they don't realize it because progressives are like that. They're all or nothing kind of people. Like extreme people are always all or nothing kind of people. So they think this is a tactic that works, whether they have to mislead people or lie, any means necessary to bring people over. And they're not even realizing that when they get caught in a lie, they're now labeled as liars by people who care about the truth. You know what I'm saying? So anybody who cares about the truth, they say you get caught Vaush in a lie, you're instantly going to say, I'm never going to watch this guy again. I can't believe anything he said. Like now that he's admitted this and admitted that he agrees that you can mislead people to bring them to your side, that's morally okay to him. I don't believe him at all. I don't think, now I think none of his debates, I have any expectation that they're in good faith. I don't believe anything he says, and all his tweets that he tweets, I'm gonna say I don't believe it. I think it's bullshit. And Destiny even later on starts going through his tweets, and he's like, "Look, you contradict yourself," and he keeps trying to argue his way out of them. The truth is, he doesn't care that his tweets contradict them, as long as they're bringing people over to his side. That's all he cares about. It's weird. It's weird to not care about honesty. I think it's a weird like desperation thing. Like they're so desperate to not fall into fascism that they're willing to lie to people. And they're kind of admitting that the opposite side of them has the truth. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of admitting that. Or they're kind of admitting that if you hear the truth, you're going to go to the right. That's kind of what they're admitting. To me, that's not true. I think if you hear the truth, I think you will make, at least for the most part, you make a reasonable decision. There are like dumb people and people who are biased, and they'll use that. Like, for instance, they call 1350, they call that a dog whistle, right? And for sure, there's people, racist, white supremacist people out there. For sure, there are who use that truth for their purpose, and they use it in the wrong way to lead people towards their side and to believe the messed up things they believe. But just because you hear that truth, if you're not an evil person, if you're not a racist, if you're not biased, if you're just a normal person and you hear these truths, then you'll make a good decision out of it. You'll have a good understanding. But anybody who states that, anybody who says they believe in that, they instantly label a racist. And that's not true. You don't have to be a racist because you accept the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's so weird to say because, and this is very exposing because this has never been, I've never heard this before. So this is very exposing that Vaush says you can't tell people, you have to lie sometimes to get people their side. That's almost saying like they admit they accept the stats, but they don't want to say they do. They want to lie about it in order to not have people go to the other side. They feel like if people hear this truth about those stats, that they're going to go to the right, which is not necessarily true. You got me. You got Devin. Devin makes content about this almost exclusively now, right? Like most of the stuff he talks about is the crime stats as a reaction to people who don't talk about it, who spread lies and dance around this truth. And he talks about it because nobody else will, and it's a fact. You know what I'm saying? But what do? They call him far right. They call him a Nazi. They call him all these things that he's not, when he's honestly been a Democrat his whole life. He's still a Democrat. He still has very liberal viewpoints. He believes in healthcare and all these things and abortion, all these things. The only thing is that he's honest about things. That's the only thing that separates him from them. They take it farther. Some of them are socialist, some of them are communist instead of liberal. But even still, there's people on that side who are also liberals that fall for that stuff. And the only difference between Devin and these people, and me and those people, is that we're honest about stuff. We don't lie. You know what I'm saying? We accept truths, and that doesn't make us racist. That doesn't mean anything about us except that we're honest people. And we're not uncomfortable talking about being honest and talking about facts. But they're uncomfortable with that because they fear that it leads people to the wrong side. That's what they're saying. It's a dog whistle. They think that when people hear that, they start going towards the right, which is, again, not true because many people on the left believe those things and they don't go to the right.
Yeah.
But what does push them to the right is when people on the far left bash them and call them racist and all these words, you know what I'm saying? And all it does is make them think that their own side is against them. So then they start going to the other side. That's what makes them go to the other side, not telling them the truth. Doesn't, you know, like you could totally tell them the truth and they'll stay on your side if you're accepting of them accepting the truth, you know? It's a very strange thing that these people don't get that. It's a very strange tactic. But I think at this point, it's how they make their money and how they make their popularity. So they can't change that now, you know?
Yeah.
If they did, they'd start losing people. Yeah, they start losing their audience.
Everything that you said doesn't sound bad. My issue right now is that I think that going forward, something that I'm trying to be very strict on is I think that it's very, very, very important to report factual stuff correctly. Because I think right now the biggest issue that we're having probably across the world, but at the very least in the United States, is we are widening this chasm of what both sides see as reality. And that widening of the chasm, even if it's for a good cause, I don't think is good. I think at the end of the day, I think that lying a little bit to sell a good message is actually hurting these good messages so much, and it makes them so difficult for anybody to buy into them.
There you go, Destiny. Says it 100%.
Saying it too, yeah.
Yeah, all this stuff that you're lying makes it 100% harder for people to believe your side. It makes it harder for them to believe the truth when you're saying the truth because you've already been caught lying so many times. And all the info you've said and used in debates have already been debunked so many times, you keep using it, that eventually people are going to, not believe anything you say. And it's true, like, how many times do you go into an argument with somebody? You're on the left, they're on the right, you go into an argument with somebody, and they start saying shit about, oh, well, you're on the left, so you believe this and that. And it's like, what? That's not, like, well, not me, I don't believe that. Oh, well, the left says this, and that's not true, and it gets labeled onto all of us, And now everybody on the left is a liar to people on the right, And it's like, it's a weird thing that they just want to make enemies of the other side instead of trying to compromise with them or bring them over or change their mind. They're not even willing to try to change their minds. All they want to do is dunk on them, like, I'm going to dunk on the right and more people are going to believe, be on this side. But the truth is that people already are on that side. Like say Vaush has a debate with a big right winger who has a ton of Steven Crowder or something. If Vaush dunks on Steven Crowder and he sees his numbers go up, that's just more lefties seeing it and going to sub to him. He's not converting the people from Crowder's side to him, right? Because in the end, he's not even using the truth. So those people are going to see he's lying regardless, What you would want to do is try to convince some of the people on Crowder's side to join your side, as opposed to, just making them be the enemy, It's a weird tactic that I don't think it works. I think it's a terrible tactic. But as you see, this was led on by TYT. TYT's been doing this for years. It's exactly how they are. Even if you're on the left and you don't agree with them, what do? They call you names. They nobody should support them. Garbage, get them out of here. They're totally vicious about it. During the primaries, they wanted Bernie to win. What did they do? They bashed on every other person. Every other Biden, they hated Biden. They hated Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? Now that once Kamala Harris was picked for VP, they praised her. Oh, the first black woman. Oh, the first South Asian to become vice president. This is an historic event. This is amazing. But before that, while she was running against Bernie, she's a cop and she locked up so many black people and this and that. She went off on that. It's amazing that, how they turn tail the second things turn around, and it's like, oh, well, Bernie's out. We got to all support this person now, after we just bashed them for like months,
You think that if we got rid of... So let's take the right out of this because the right doesn't care about misinformation. Okay. If we took every
the left doesn't either, unfortunately, right now, but yeah.
Well, let's...
Yeah. How funny is that? So Vaush says the right doesn't care about the truth. And then Destiny's like, well, the left doesn't right now either. But it's funny, Vaush talking about the right not caring about the truth after he just said that you can lie to people to bring them over to your side. Doesn't that mean you don't care? The left doesn't care about the truth? You don't care about it. What a projection that is. But it's funny. I think this is also exposing something. They think the right is lying to get people to their side.
Yeah.
So that justifies them doing it to get people to the left, you know? If they can do it, then we got to do it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, whatever happened to being the better man, whatever happened to doing what's right, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the right is lying to get people to their side, so you should use the truth, right? Because your side is supposed to be the virtue. It's supposed to be the virtuous ones. The righteous side, not the bad, evil side that's being like a cult that's like, you know, brainwashing people to come to their side. That's not right. That doesn't make sense. So the right doesn't care about the truth, but you just admitted that it's morally okay to lie to people to bring them to your side. Like, oh my God.
I think that, like, principally, the right doesn't care about misinformation. Leftists, I think, just are very good at misleading themselves.
I don't know if that's true. I think
See, now he's, again, notice he just went against the things he was saying, which this is now making him lie at this moment. So he said before, it's okay to mislead people to your side, but now he's saying the left misleads themselves. So he's saying they truly believe this stuff. They're just good at lying to themselves, and they think they start believing the lie. I don't think that's true. He just said it was okay to lie to go to their side. So they know they're lying. They know this is a tactic of theirs. This is bullshit.
Right is the same. I think a lot of them are very good at misleading themselves, but go ahead.
Okay, well, we can discuss that. But that aside, if we were to get rid of all content which has any misleading elements for the advocacy of liberal or left-leaning politics, I think that would destroy almost everything. We would be left with NPR-style, incredibly empirical, fact-based, and dry commentary, high-level academia, accessible-only content, and maybe a couple of people left capable of threading that line.
That's where he admits that he thinks if you stop lying, then you lose. That's basically what he's saying. He said, I think if we take away this misleading and all this stuff out, and these little lies they tell to get people to their side, if you take that out, then it's just dry, he said, dry reference stuff, and you're just basically feeding people the facts, which means everything falls apart. That's what he says. So if you just fed people facts, that means their entire goal of getting people to the left falls apart. The left loses, you know, it's all over. It's like, that's a terrible way to see it. And I swear to you, if your side needs to lie to get people there, it can't be the right side then. Because the truth is the right side. It's the side that is correct, is the factual side. Which is neither side. No far side is going to be factual, because that's kind of the purpose of being so radical, is they exaggerate everything, you know. They take everything to extremes. And this is why it's okay for them to lie to themselves and stuff, because it's extreme, you know. They're okay with that. They're okay with bending truths to get people to their side. What do you think?
It's such a weird way to to go about. Like, I don't know. I couldn't live that way. It would be like you'd just be living every moment of your life as a lie, just or in denial about things, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you see how they go after Devin. Devin is telling the truth. Everything Devin puts out there, he's not lying. None of that is lying. What he's doing is finding the liars, and he's calling out the liars. That's what he does. He's calling out the hypocrisy, the inconsistency, and the lies that the left tells. I mean, what does he do most of the time, right? Maybe he does a video on TYT. What does he do when he does a video on TYT? He calls them out for being liars, right? Like, that's what he does. Oh, hold on, my screen is gone. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so you see that these people are, so then the truth, this is the truth. These people are putting out information that's not true. They are the liars, and they're upset with Devin and people like him for telling the truth. And they just admitted it. Vaush just admitted, if you tell the truth, the left loses. That's what he just said. So that means this is why they go on bashing campaigns on Sean, on Devin. Look, Sean is on the right from me. Sean's on the conservative side. I'm not a conservative. There's many times we disagree on things politically, and we discuss it sometimes. But there's one thing I can never say about Sean. Sean's not a liar. You know what I'm saying? Sean's not a liar. He gives you the facts to the best of his ability. You know, if he makes a mistake, I've seen him correct himself multiple times in his videos and go back, you know, and do an update and say, oh, I messed up reading this. Or you go in his description, he'll say, I read this research wrong. Here is the correct interpretation, you know. So he does correct himself. He cares about telling the truth. But that is a problem to these people. That is why they go after people like Sean, you know. That is why the Surfs and SJW 9000 want to debate Sean so much. And since they think the right is just as much of liars as they are, they don't see that Sean is telling the truth. They automatically become uncharitable and say Sean is a liar, as opposed to saying, I think Sean is incorrect. You know, and I want to have a discussion with you, Sean, or a debate to show you where you are incorrect, you know, where you're making a mistake in your interpretations here. That's not what they say. They say, you're a liar. Let's have a debate. I'm going to destroy you on this information. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm going to expose you. I'm going to take your mask off and I'm going to expose you. And it's total bullshit. The truth is that's projection. They're the ones who are lying. They're the ones who, you know, want to be, you know, they're the ones who are the way they look at the right, you know. They're the ones who are that way, and they don't, you know, they lie about it and they try to hide it. They're the ones wearing a mask who know the truth but don't want to reveal it, you know, and want to mislead people to go to their side, which is total bullshit, man. Like, you can use the truth and you can accept the truth and you don't have to. But the problem is they're so extreme. If you tell people the truth, they're not going to be extreme. The truth isn't extreme. You know, more often than not, the truth is something in between. It's something very moderate, you know, and will lead you to be very moderate. That's what they don't want. They want you to be extreme. They want to lead you as far as possible to the left. Remember that one kid we used to talk to, the left progressive kid?
Oh, yeah.
What did he used to say to us? I want to be the most left that I can be. Remember we used to say that to us all the time?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, but that's wrong. Why would you want to be the most extreme that you can possibly be? Why would you want to be the most radical you can be ever, you know? And
he didn't get that.
Yeah, and he didn't get that. Because he said, no, but the left is good, so I want to be the most left anybody is. I want to be more left than Vaush and the Surfs. And it's like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, what are you talking about? You literally want to be the most radical person you can be? Like, that's ridiculous, you know? Oh, my God. But, man, it's so exposing to listen to this.
Wait, this is
Wait, hold on. There are people in chat saying good. We lose if that happens.
Wait, I think that this is a bad dichotomy. You can have content.
So he says, there's people in chat saying good about, you know, losing because you didn't tell the truth. He sounded like Trump when you impersonated him. Yeah, well, it is very much what Trump does. Trump doesn't care about the truth. He only cares about having people be loyal to him, right? He doesn't care about the truth. He would do that all the time. Like, look at the elections. Whether you believe the elections are a fraud or not, nobody has any fucking proof that the elections were a fraud. You can't say that as a fact. You know what I'm saying? You can't state it as a fact. And even more, doing it as the leader of the country, you're going to state it as a fact for 2 months straight? That's, you know, you yourself are lying then. You know what I'm saying? And you're lying to people. It would be a totally different thing if he said, you know, I think they might have stole the election. I can't believe that I lost in this way. Maybe they stole it. You know, like, you know, but he's not saying that. I'm going to look for the evidence. It's possible. We got to look into it and see. He didn't say that. What he said was, stop the steal. They took the election. They're stealing away. This is unconstitutional. You know, like all these things. And for 2 months, he just nailed it into his fans' heads that their constitution was taken from them, that their constitutional right to vote was taken from them. What do you expect to happen? It's an extreme thing to say. Now, he didn't straight up tell people, you know, charge into the Capitol building and, you know, go, you know, kill someone or anything like that. You know, he didn't straight up say that. But as a leader of a country, what do you think happens when a leader of a country tells their constituents that their rights have been taken from them as a fact, you know, for every day for 2 months and drilling into their heads? Obviously, you know, obviously people are going to be upset and do shit. And this is exactly what these people are doing. They want to lead them people to their side using lies and using sometimes not even lies, but like stretching the truth, you know what I'm saying? Bending the truth, using a bit of the truth, but exaggerating it to a point of making it like a radical thought and adding urgency. This is what I say about like Ian Miles Chong on both sides. You see this from both sides. Ian Miles Chong, you see it from the Serfs, you see it from Vaush, you see it from all these people. They fearmonger. They take little things and things that maybe are a problem, could become a problem, but are really not that big of deals, you know. And it's like things that are natural kind of sometimes with politics. If you notice every election, it's like, if we let the other side win, that's it. That's the end of America. This happens every election, right? Every fucking election, it's the end of America. Like, America's ended with like 45 times with all these different presidents we've had. It's every election. It's not that big of a deal to have the person from your the opposite party from you be the president. It's not that big of a deal. I went through 4 years of Trump. That's the opposite side of me. I didn't make it a huge deal like some people did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, well, we'll get through the 4 years and hope that our side wins the next year, you know, the next election. And that's exactly what happened. And now we have Biden. And what's happening now? When Trump became president, the left was like, it's over. We're going to, you know, he's going to become a fascist. He's going to declare martial law and he's going to take over and become a dictator. Did that happen? Nope. Not even close, you know. You know, maybe people can argue if maybe he did some things that seemed like he was. I don't think so. Whatever. It's over. He's gone. Now we have Biden. Now you have the right side saying, oh, that's it. America's done. You know, we're going to be a socialist country, this and that. Total bullshit. You know, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. You know, but these are the fearmongers. That's what these people do. And that's what all extreme people do. They constantly fearmonger and tell you that this is the end of something, you know, and put you on edge, you know, all the time. But they use lies and deceptive measures for this. It's weird when you hear somebody actually admit it, you know? And I don't even think he realized he admitted it. Destiny didn't call it out either. Didn't totally catch it. But Destiny's just arguing, I think it's better if you just always tell the truth. And he's saying, I think it's a bad tactic to lie. I think that's messing up, you know, your what you want, your goals, you know? You're sabotaging your own goals with that.
That's edgy, engaging, entertaining, aesthetic, that doesn't mislead people or lie.
The expectation that even reductive content must be excised from people on our side of the political aisle.
No, I think reductive content is okay.
Well,
but see, Vaush, if you notice, Vaush is constantly dodging. He's dodging the point that Destiny. It's like he's realized, he admitted he's a liar, and that they use lying tactics. It's like he's realized he admitted it. Oh wait, am I keeping it going? No, it's not still playing. But it's like he's realized he pretty much is saying that, you know, it's okay to lie. And now he's trying to dance around it. You notice Destiny saying his only problem is the lying part. But then Vaush keeps changing the argument and moving the goalpost to, well, it's like saying, you know, reductionist content and this and that. It's like, it's not about reductionist content. It's about the lying part. That's the part Destiny's saying is a problem. Vaush keeps arguing the reductionist part. And it's like, yeah, you can reduce your topic to a point where, you know, it's very simple and maybe you're missing a lot of the nuance, but you can still keep it honest, is what Destiny's saying. Vaush is saying that you can reduce it and get rid of the truth, basically, and mislead people. And that's sabotaging you. Straight part voters are the most dumb people on the planet. Glad Trump's out of office, but the rhetoric of vote blue no matter who. Yeah, that's not good either. Vote for Hitler just because he's blue. Yeah, I agree. You gotta vote with which person has more policies that, you know, you agree with. It doesn't make sense for you to vote, you know, like, there's things from the left that I disagree with. You know, the left right now has become very identity politics. I'm not for that. I'm old school Democrat. I don't go for those things. I don't believe in those things. I don't want identity politics in politics at all. I think that those are social problems. Those shouldn't be solved by politics. They should be solved by society. But either way, I don't like those things, but it still makes no sense for me to vote for the right to vote against that, because I'm not a single issue voter. There's still so many other things that Democrats are trying to, you know, do that I agree with, you know. So why would I vote for the right who's going to do things that lead away from what I want instead, you know? It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. I also despise Trump for his isolationist tendencies and his lack of experience. Yeah, Trump kind of has like a mobster, which is probably because he's from New York City, but he has a very old school mobster kind of mentality where it's more about loyalty. That he's big on loyalty, right? And it's all like, whatever I want, you got to back that up. If you don't, like, notice how many people he fired. He constantly fired people. And it was like, do this for me. And if the person had a problem with doing that and says, yeah, this seems a little morally wrong. Maybe I should, I don't feel comfortable doing this. You're fired. You know, like instantly you're fired. Oh, you're not loyal to me. You're fired. Yo, you did an article and you spoke about something we talked about in private. You're fired. You know, like that's what it is. And it's like, yeah, it's a loyalty thing. You know, he's big on that, and he doesn't care if he's asking you to do something morally wrong. But you know, the reason he wants you there is that you listen to him and do what he wants. You know, it's like being a mob boss. You know what I'm saying? When you're a mob boss and you tell your people to do something, if you don't do it, they kill you. You know. They're not going to take it. You get whacked. Say if they tell you, hey, go take care of this person, and then you come back and be like, you know what? They didn't actually do anything wrong. I feel bad about killing them. You know, like, guess what's going to happen?
Like, oh, really?
They're not going to be like, oh, all right, you convinced me. You're right. That's okay. All right. But that's him being a shrewd businessman. That's how he's lived his entire life. That's his tactics, you know.
Line then.
The line is when you're misreporting the facts.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
I can't believe he has to ask him, where's the line then? Where's the line then? Destiny's been saying it this whole time, is to not, as long as you're not lying, it's okay, you know? Like, every time he brings up lying, Vaush moves the goalpost and says, oh, but reductionist. It's not about reductionism. It's about lying.
Misrepresenting something. Or if you're being so reductive that you're being incorrect.
Okay, but in this case, I think incorrectness is kind of a gradient.
Incorrectness is kind of a gradient. What's the gradient of incorrectness? It's either incorrect or it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the gradient he's talking about? Huh? Doesn't make sense.
Whatever the gradient is, we're way far away from where I would be debating the gradient. Right now, we're just like, people just report things that are just factually not true. That's my issue. Like,
sure, they do that, but okay. I don't remember enough of these philosophy tube videos to meaningfully defend.
We don't have to talk about
it. To argue about whether it's okay to say things that are true or not.
Idpol stuff, but that aside, okay, I'll ask you. Hypothetical, okay. You can
and it seems like he's trying to bargain with him now. Like, let's see how much lies can I get away with then? You know, like in order to lead my argument. You know, like
adhere to truthfulness entirely. Get rid of everything misleading and dishonest on your side of the political aisle, but it costs you the war.
I don't think so. I think it would. I think it would help. I think that what costs us the war right now is and I'm going to be totally honest. This is like anecdotal as fuck for me. So maybe I'm wrong here, but like here's one of the issues that I run into, and I noticed this because I beta test some of these arguments with my mom when I'm in Florida. Okay, when I argue with my mom, I have to immediately own a whole bunch of poorly represented or misrepresented facts immediately. And then by the end of that, I have to tell my mom, like, okay, hold on, listen. Okay, yeah, this was wrong, and yeah, that was a lie, and okay, that was true. But the rest of this is true, I swear to God, Mom, okay?
Where's she getting that info from?
Sometimes from left-leaning people. Like,
is that really the case?
Yeah, so I'll go over...
Is that really the case? But the point of Destiny bringing up arguing with his mom is great because his mom is a normal person. She's not an internet person, you know, what people on the internet call a normie, right? She's not an internet person. She doesn't know internet politic talk, you know? She just knows what she's seeing on television, what she's hearing from regular people on the right or left in her normal day-to-day life. So that's a good way to see it. And he's saying every time I have to talk to my mom, who's on the right and Destiny's on the left, he's got to own a bunch of bullshit, you know, because lefties are spreading all this bullshit. And he's got to accept, yeah. So now he's got to tell his mom, no, you're right, that's a lie, and that's a lie too, but this was true. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, you know, that's ruining things. It makes it difficult. Well, how can I believe that's true when you just specifically told me those other two things were lies, you know? Let me read the chat. We vote for some minor Republican candidates. I'm really disgusted how Democrats have become much more open about being against the death penalty. I guarantee you they only care about innocent black people on death row, not the... I think Democrats have always been against the death penalty in general. I think liberals in general are usually against the death penalty. But also, don't go by what the media says. Like, that's a lot of what the media says. Like, what the media says about Democrats and what Democrats actually believe are very different. You're going to get... Like, there's a thing where, like, a lot of people is when I argue with conservatives, they look at all Democrats as being progressives, and it's like, we're not all progressives. You know, some of us are liberals, so it's like, oh yeah, oh blah blah blah. So then, you know, if I talk to somebody and I tell them I'm on the left, and they're like, oh, so you think, you know, you believe in feminism and you're an SJW, and it's like, no, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a Democrat thing. That's just some Democrats. And it seems like it's a lot of Democrats, but it's not, because that's just what the media portrays. Those are the loud Democrats, you know. But the majority of the Democrats aren't into that. I mean, Biden's been saying a couple of SJW things, but in the most part, Biden's not SJW. He barely has been. He's never been. And he used that probably just to win, because he knows that's what's popular right now, you know, among the youth. But in the end, what does he do that's very SJW? He's never really even said many things that are. So, you know, Biden's more of an old school, like, liberal than a progressive. Now you got Kamala Harris. She's more progressive. I don't know if that's a thing that she just is to the media and she's actually, because, you know, in the end, she's not really. I remember when, right before the election, they had an interview with her and Biden, and they asked them about, because this was right after the BLM riots, and they asked them about defund the police. Now, everybody was arguing with me before that, saying that Kamala Harris is for defund the police and this and that. I'm thinking, hell no, she's an ex-district attorney, you know, in California. She basically is a cop, and she probably helped so many police officers in that time, and probably has a bunch of respect for them. But she has said some shit against that. But that's why you have to watch what is the media side and what's the actual side. And the real side is, when they eventually did ask her in an interview, do you believe in defund the police? She said, no, I would never defund the police. Biden said, no, I would never defund the police, you know? So it's a thing of, like, you gotta watch, it's a rope you have to tightrope you kind of have to walk when it comes between what these politicians say to the media and then what they say, well, still to the media, but what they say, like, in interviews, as opposed to saying in speeches that are meant for everyone to swallow, or an interview that's meant to be intimate and what they really think, you know. There's two sides. All politicians do this, man. There's two sides to all politicians. They all do that. And then there's the things they say to get elected, and then there's the things they say after they're elected, you know. And then they're not going to always be the same thing, you know. Biden's walking back some of the things now that he said during the election, and then he's, you know, in good ways and bad ways, you know, in both ways. He was fighting for $15 an hour, and then he says, I don't know if that's a good idea. Now he's saying, I don't know if that's a good idea, because, you know, because of the coronavirus, there's a lot of small businesses struggling. I don't know if it's a good idea. They might be walking that back. He's trying to find another way to do it, you know, like, so we'll see what happens with that. But, you know, these people are a lot more reasonable than you think. They sound very extreme and very crazy when they're running, but then after they become president, they sound way more reasonable than you think, you know.
Over some of the most popular ones that I hear, that I've gone over a million times. You've probably heard these on stream before, right? One of the number one things, easiest misreported fact in the world. Yeah. Why do so many people say she was killed in her sleep in bed?
Does it matter?
Yes, it totally matters.
To the facts of the wrongness of her murder, does it matter whether
even
she
to the
was
facts
in
of the wrongness of her murder? Yeah. Now, okay, because there's a huge difference in the cops. So
now we know with Breonna Taylor, this was a huge lie that was going around, and you see it all the time. Even to today, people still tweet, oh, black people getting killed sleeping in their beds. You could be sleeping at night, and the cops will just bust in and shoot you in your bed while you're sleeping. And there's a huge lie that, you know, Breonna Taylor was sleeping when this happened. She wasn't sleeping. They were both, you know, she was standing up next to her boyfriend who shot a cop, you know, and then the cops shot back. You know, but Vaush is trying to say it's okay to say that. To him, he thinks regardless of whether she was sleeping or not, I don't agree with him, but he thinks regardless of where she's sleeping or not, it doesn't matter, because either way it was wrong. But so then he's excusing the lie, but you can't excuse the lie, because now once you've said that lie, any other argument you're going to make to say that was wrong is going to be looked at as a lie, right? Like, you lied about that one thing. Why am I going to believe you about these other things? You know, it's such bullshit. And he doesn't even realize that he's defending, oh, but it doesn't matter because, you know, either way, it's a blah, blah, blah. And now, you know, if you tell them the truth, maybe they won't even believe that it's wrong, you know, like, basically is what he's saying. So it's like, so if you tell people the truth about what happened in the Breonna Taylor case, then you think they're not going to think it's wrong? Which to me is true. They're not going to think it's wrong. But I mean, that's the right answer then. If you're telling them the truth and their conclusion is that it's not wrong, then that's probably the right answer. In the end, you should let people think for themselves and make their own conclusions regardless. What they're doing is basically like what communists used to do with propaganda. It's like, you know, try to brainwash people. Convince them with lies about, you know, to go to your side. It's fucking crazy.
I'll describe what I think was reality.
Stray bullets fly into the building. I mean, depending on the position of the bedroom, a hallway could be the same distance.
Hold on. Okay. So this is the facts of the case that I believe.
Yeah, see, Vaush is already trying to come up with shit. Well, you know, you spray bullets or the distance from the hallway to the bed. Well, you're excusing it when you could just say the facts. Like, why excuse lies regardless of the outcome? Why excuse the lies when you can correct them and tell the truth, you know? Just tell the truth. What's the problem?
To be true based on everything I've read, right?
Yeah, look, people in the chat are making fun of him. This guy said, "Why does the truth matter?" He asks. And then he says, "Look, these people are right." This guy Zoom says it causes skepticism. Yeah, the second somebody realizes you've lied once, now they're gonna think all of it is a lie. It's true. It makes it all look fake. You fucking dipshit. Yeah, everybody in Destiny's chat is dead on. Vaush, do you actually know any real life conservatives? Yeah. Yeah, it opens the table for it being, and then they put like a little. Can
I address one quick thing from chat?
Yeah, go for it.
There are a lot of people in chat painting right now. Like, why does the truth matter? Whether or not two different interpretations or two different versions of a story meaningfully affect political discourse around that story is a valid question. One of the issues that I have with your content, Destiny, is sometimes it feels like you sacrifice political efficacy for the image of correctness, even if that line between technical correctness and rhetorically or politically efficacious but somewhat misleading is ultimately meaningless.
That's because my goal isn't to get an audience of 20,000 brain dead lefties that all just want to hear me circle jerk the popular lefty take of the news. I want to be able to reach. I want to be able to reach. Yeah, and that's not happening on YouTube. Okay, my goal isn't to just get a whole bunch of people that already agree with me.
Yeah, but there it is. Like, that says it all right there. He's already saying. He's already saying his problem with Destiny's content is Destiny sacrifices people coming to his side for the truth. Because Destiny would rather tell the truth and let people make their own decisions. He doesn't like that. He'd rather Destiny not tell the truth when it might lead people away, you know?
Yeah.
But then Destiny tells him straight up, listen, my goal isn't to have all the, you know, like an echo chamber of lefties. You know, that's not his goal. What up, Grant? Efficacy? Oh, well, I think it's with an F. Efficacy.
Efficacy.
As in efficient.
Mm.
Efficiency. Efficacy. But yeah, like Destiny saying, my goal isn't to have, you know, a bunch of lefties come to me and to hear the new what? Hey, Sugar Tits. Where's Sugar Tits? It's not here.
Hmm?
Oh, maybe he's talking to Grant.
Can't see that.
I thought he meant Sugar Tits from New Jersey is better. And New Jersey pizza and NY pizza before NY was gentrified. This debate's still going on Twitter. Oh, Chicago pizza is good, but it's not pizza. Yeah, I agree with all that. But yeah, Vaush is like trying to say he doesn't like Destiny telling the truth. But yeah, but Destiny's saying, well, I don't want like a bunch of lefty echo chamber shit going on. You know, he wants to tell the truth and let people decide for themselves. Vaush doesn't like that. It's crazy to argue that. You know, it's crazy to be like, no, you should lie to your audience, you know, in order to have them be on your side. Like, what? It's crazy. I don't get it.
And then just give them our version of the facts. I want to be able to have it so that if somebody is in the middle or even on the right listening to debate, at the very least, I want them to walk away ass mad that everything I said was correct. And at the very least, they're going to have to wrestle with that in their head.
The people you debate don't give a fuck whether or not they lost.
I don't care about the people I debate. It's about the people.
You just said you want them to leave ass mad.
The people that are fans of the people that I debate. This is more specifically what I'm
They don't
talking
care.
about.
They just care that you were loud and you talked more than them and you interrupted.
No,
That's exactly what Vaush does. That's what Vaush does. He's loud. When he's losing a debate, he switches the topic. Is exactly their time. It's weird how he projects this out and wants everybody to be the way he is. Like he's basically telling Destiny,
like,
no, this is what your audience wants. This is what their audience wants. You got to do it this way. That's basically what he's saying. They just care if you're
how do you
louder
get
than
through
the
to people like that?
Yeah, how do you
They're
gonna
just
get through to
yelling back
people?
and forth? That like, it doesn't seem productive at all.
Well, this guy, Doctor Strange, says, Vaush, doesn't the image of correctness make him seem more rhetorically appealing? Yeah, it does. And you know what? I've never liked Destiny, but lately I've been listening to him more recently, and he's getting a lot better, and it seems like he does care more about the truth than anything else. Before, it used to seem like he would just argue to win and not care. But now he's been more, I guess now he's got so much money, because apparently he's got tons of money. But apparently he's like at the point where he's made enough money and made enough popularity on YouTube that he's like, you know what, I care more about the truth than anything, you know? And that's
I've never really listened to Destiny other than like clips I've seen, like people clip certain things of him or whatever, but with anything that I've seen in the past like couple months, it's hard to argue against what he's saying because he comes off pretty reasonable. So
I still say if you have to lie to get people to come to your side, then your side is not the good side. And that's it. If you feel like it, if you feel that you have to lie, and if you don't lie, people are going to leave your side or not be convinced to come to your side, then your side's the wrong side. Like, sorry. It seems like there's something wrong with where you're at then. And maybe you should change over to something that you can be honest about and get people to your side with honesty, you know?
Not true.
And
When
you have a daughter in your
debate,
basement?
no, what people care about is if they have some hero content creator and that content creator goes up and debates someone else and they sound dumb, the person that's a fan of that person will feel dumb. And that's a frustrating experience when your heroic content creator gets trumped by some other guy that makes it sound like they know more facts than
People
them.
being made to feel dumb, especially if you're arguing with conservatives, has less to do with the extent to which you adhere to factual information and much more to do with how much better you look than them. And that's a rhetoric game.
Sure,
I know
it can.
You see that? This is Vaush lumping people. This is a straw man, basically. He's just lumped all conservatives together. This is saying if you argue, debating with people is not about the truth, it's about this. That's ridiculous. It's totally about the truth. What are you talking about? The whole point of debate is to discover the truth, is to whittle away the misinformation and get to the bottom of what you're debating, you know? But if one person's debating in bad faith, you're never going to get to the bottom of it, and it kind of wrecks the debate, the purpose of a debate. See, this is why I don't like debating on YouTube and all these YouTube debates, because this is what it is. It's all disingenuous. It's all bad faith. It's all, oh, what's up, Sean? Sean, if you want to come in, come on in. Grant, too. Grant, if you want to come in, feel free. But it's all bad faith, if you notice. This is why I don't like debating on YouTube. This is why Sean does good debating on YouTube, because Sean comes in good faith, but he debates all these bad faith people. So that's why you get the messes that you get when you debate with people online, you know. This is where you get that moment where Sean talks about teen pregnancy in the black community, and Surfs thinks he won by showing him a stat that says 40, gay black men in the 40-year-old range wear condoms more than any other race or whatever. And it's like, why are you showing me a stat of gay black men 40 and up? When we're talking about pregnancy rates, single family pregnancy rates, Oh, more people coming in. What's up, guys? So that makes no sense, but that's the dishonesty. And even still to today, Surfs is telling his audience that he showed Sean a stat that says that black people don't wear less condoms than anyone else, and it's like, well, that wasn't the purpose. So, that wasn't the context of what he was saying. Completely changing his argument. Not to mention that he forced Sean to give him an answer of why black people have more fatherless homes.
Yeah.
Which wasn't even part of the argument, the part of the debate. So it's like he forced them into something because it's all bad faith. He was trying to force them to admit, to try to pinhole him as being a racist, But he couldn't, because Sean's not a racist and Sean has the truth on his side. But it doesn't matter to to Lance, because to Lance and to Vaush, all they care about is how their audience views them. You know what I'm saying? All they care about is getting the lies out there to bring them in. Yeah, they act in bad faith because they know that's how they can win. And sometimes Vaush will start a debate well, but you see it when I guessed and was actually right. Yeah. Sean took a guess and then he looked it up and was actually right about it. Oh, I think I might be losing some. Are you there still?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you might need to restart, actually. Refresh.
Okay.
But in the end, it's like, sometimes you'll see Vaush debates and he'll start off good, but he was doing this with Sean. The second he gets to a moment in the debate that he feels he might be losing, or the person that he's debating knows better about that topic than him, and he knows he can't beat him on the facts of that topic because, the other person's more educated than him, then he moves the goalpost and tries to switch over to a different part to a different conversation, so completely changing the argument. He did that to Sean, like, I don't remember how many times, Sean, was it like 3 or 4 times he did that, where you would get down to an argument. Sean, they were arguing criminal justice, which Sean has an education in. Vaush doesn't. The same thing with Lance. Lance doesn't. He had debated both of them. But Vaush's tactic was, when Sean would pin him down on something, Vaush would be like, well, that's not even what this discussion is about, and then he would move the argument to something else. Let's move on to another topic, because he didn't want to concede that Sean knows more about that topic, And he knows if he kept arguing with Sean on that specific topic that it was going to lead to him having to say that he was wrong, or at least looking wrong and looking stupid. So he would move it over, and change the topic. Sea lion, yeah, that's Lance. Lance the sea lion.
Yeah, that's his tactic to just laugh like a seal. He's like the gotchas, guys.
Me, but
He's like the gotchas.
None of us laughing with the last time. He's, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Factual. It can be two ends of that. Sometimes they both can help, sure, but it's if you're matched with somebody else that is even somewhat rhetorically effective, and you have bad facts on your side,
which is what happened when Sean debated.
It's going to be really hard for you to win that argument. So if we're right now, if I were to say, because we've both been calm, if I were to say that we were rhetorically even-footed, right? If I were just spamming this tweet over and over again on my stream, so I haven't shown this tweet on stream, but if I was spamming this one earlier, I think I would have won our earlier argument about you being hypocritical about your messaging, because this kind of yeah. Well, yeah, I linked you the tweet and everything. You don't have to.
Okay, this is pretty much where it's over, and they start arguing about the tweet that he sent out, basically showing that he was being disingenuous or lying, hypocritical. Thrax is asking, how you doing, Chris?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you feeling, Thrax?
Yeah, how you feeling, Thrax? Let us know.
Hope you're doing well.
We need to attack him more. Well, I just saw this debate and I thought it was interesting that he basically admitted that he lies in order to win debates, or he lies in order to get people over to his side. His main goal, he basically saying his main goal is to steer people away from fascism. So it's whatever he thinks is fascism. And basically admits that if the left stops lying, then they lose the war. That's what he says. And we lose the war. It's not even a war, it's ridiculous to even call it a war. But it shows you that's the extremity of the concept of the thought. They're so extreme in their thoughts. That's what's going on. That they see it as a war. They see that them against the right is a war. And so that's why they have that by any means necessary kind of mentality, because they're like, oh, we have to lie, we got to do this, If we're honest, we lose,
Take my strong hand.
Yeah, take my strong hand. And that's where you see people like this SJW 9000 guy. He just strawmans everyone. He jumps to conclusions. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know Devin. He doesn't know shit about Devin. He just knows. He was calling Devin a bunch of stuff, and when Devin said, "Where'd you hear that?" or when any of us said, "Where'd you hear that?" he said he read it on Kiwi Farms or something. It's then you don't know. If you haven't seen his content, how do you know? You're just basically making shit up. And they all do that. They all look at, Lance does the same thing. Lance calls Devin, alt-right, right wing. When Vaush talked about Devin, he said the same thing. Oh, all you right wingers, alt-right fucking right wingers, and this and that. It's like, well, Devin's on the left. Like, what are you guys talking about? They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then they dance around it. Like, I remember Vaush one time did a live stream and he was talking about Devin, and we all jumped into the chat. And we're all telling him, Devin's a Democrat. Devin was pro Hillary Clinton last election. Like, what are you talking about that he's alt-right and right-wing? Devin's anti-Trump. What do you mean he's
like,
why are you calling him alt-right? What are you talking about? He's not even conservative. And then and they get all like jumpy and they try to like rationale it. No, but you're still alt-right because you believe this and that, and it's like, no matter what, you can't win on that, They just want to call you things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just want to pinhole you. They don't want to believe, if you believe anything, like I said, 1350, they have their arguments against it. They're all crap arguments, but they can't accept it, right? Because they feel like, personally, this is how they feel. They feel that if you accept 1350 as a fact, that means you're going to go to the right, Anybody who brings up 1350, they call you alt-right. They say you're on the right. I'm not on the right.
He wasn't
I bring
jogging. Twitter handle, racist.
Yeah,
totally
he wasn't
racist.
jogging, whatever. Yeah, if you're not blowing black people, then you're racist. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it is. It's crazy, and it's like, why can't we address that people are lying? And this is why, because they see it as a war. So when you're calling them out on their tactics, when you watch a TYT video and you call TYT out for lying, or race baiting, which they do all the time, you call them out for that. Now you're revealing the tactics of their war, of their battle. And to them that means they're gonna lose the war. Oh my God, we're gonna lose the war. So you're an enemy, regardless. Even if you're on their side, you're still an enemy for revealing the truth,
Yeah.
Like me, I'm an enemy. They see me as enemies, they see that all the time. Remember when I went to go talk to SJW 9000, the first thing I told them was, I'm on the left, I'm anti-Trump, I'm not pro-Trump. I've been a Democrat my entire life, I'm not on the right, and that threw him off instantly. That was the first thing I did when I went in there, and he was thrown off right off the bat, like.
Even before that, before anybody spoke to SJW, Toe Rogan, he had to insist that everybody was hate watching him and all there for negative reasons.
Even if you remember, I was the first person to go talk to him, and I explained everything to him. I told him, we're just having fun. Nobody's here hate watching you, In fact, this can be amicable. We don't have to be at odds, we don't have to make this like blood sports, like, attack each other kind of shit. Like, we could just have fun.
But that makes sense to him for some reason. Because I remember asking him why it makes sense to him to look at everybody coming in negatively, but it makes sense to him for some odd reason to look at, like, to just expect the worst when people are just curious.
Because we reveal the tactic that they're using. That's why we're the enemy.
Yeah.
That's what happens. We're the enemy because we reveal the tactic that they're using, which is to lie and not accept truths in order to bring people to their side. Because the truth will take them to the left in their eyes. To the right in their eyes. That's what they think. Which is dumb. But like Destiny's was trying to argue with Vaush, was, it's doing more damage to you. You don't realize this. You think that if you tell the truth, people are going to go over to your side. But the truth is, you lying is damaging your cause because the people discover you're lying and then they can't believe you. I'm missing Happy Days and I'm gonna miss Smash. Mismash.
Mismash.
The right is right. To their eyes, I guess, because that's basically what Vaush was saying. He was saying that if we took away the misleading aspects of the left and the lies that the left says, then they lose the war. That's what he was saying. Right? Remember, he said that specifically. He even gave a hypothetical. He was like, here's a hypothetical. Let's say you have reductionist content and pop content, but you take away the lies and the misleading, but you lose the war. That's what he said. That was his, that was basically where he's putting it. And that's where Destiny cut him off. And he said, whoa, no, I don't think so. I think that you're losing the war because you're lying. I think it's the other way around. So, Vaush has basically exposed everything right here. These guys lie because they think in their minds, if they don't lie, they're going to lose. So they've trapped themselves in this pit of lies, basically. It's really like any other kind of thing where you lie. Like, say you're in a relationship and you lie to your spouse about something. You start getting into a pit of lies, right? Because now you have to make another lie to cover this lie and another lie and another lie. Next thing you know, you're constantly lying to your spouse, and making a pit of lies that you can't escape from, And every time you try to, climb your way out, you're just burying yourself more. That's exactly what they're doing with their YouTube channels and their tactics, is they keep lying and they keep burying themselves more and being, putting their fingers in their ears and going la 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 when people try to tell them the truth,
Yeah. Which is literally what Social Justice Warrior 9000 does, for real.
Yeah, and they strawman everyone, like Vaush just said, when you argue with conservatives, they just put all conservatives together. So when you argue with somebody, that's what the conservatives don't care about the truth. He basically said that conservatives don't care about the truth, kind of like by definition, I guess, like that's their principles. By principles, they don't care about the truth. And it's not that they don't care about the truth. That's not true. Some people on the right very much care about the truth. Some people on the left very much care about the truth, and some people on both sides don't, as well, as, Vaush just attested to. I actually think Vaush might be right, because they don't have the same thing as the right has: family, religion, community. It doesn't justify it. I don't know if that's true. You can have those things. You don't really need religion, but you can have family and community. You just got to have it in a different way. But if you're lying, then you can't have trust in each other, so that doesn't work that way. But I don't think, I think you can accept the truth and not go to the right. That's stupid. I stand by saying that if you have to lie to get people to come to your side, then your side is probably not correct, or wherever you think your side is probably incorrect. Which is,
kind of reminds me like of, oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
I was just thinking, it's maybe it's a different topic altogether, but it made me think of that channel, Queer Kids Stuff. And it just seemed like that channel, they were kind of explaining things in a way to, like, maybe, I don't want to say mislead, but in, like, just a younger audience was obviously who they were gearing their content towards, and maybe that was appropriate, maybe that wasn't, but just like, it just seems like manipulating a younger audience to, like, get on board, basically. I don't mean that's what Queer Kids was doing, but it just kind of came off, I guess, a little bit that
I would
way.
even say, I don't know if this is true, but I would even say that these BreadTube guys have more of a younger audience. Now, maybe, I think young people fall for extremities. I think both far sides have younger audiences. Like, you got the Nick Fuentes type, right? So the far right probably has a younger audience, and these far left, like BreadTube guys, probably have a younger audience. And the older audiences are in between, right? They watch people like Sean and, maybe even Tim Pool. Tim Pool's not that extreme to me. He kind of he's conspiracy-ish, and he does says a lot of bullshit, but he's not so extreme, he's not as extreme as,
he does
like a
push some things in a certain way to make you think certain things, I think, but not to such a big degree.
But definitely what both sides like to do, especially the extreme sides, is lump the entire side together. They don't see the gradients, right? So, like, somebody like Vaush and Lance and SJW 9000, he did this too, but he doesn't see the gradient between somebody that's moderately right and somebody that's far right. They're all the same to them. They even see some people on the left who are moderate left to be on the right. You know what I'm saying? Like me, they would say I'm on the right when I'm certainly not on the right. Yeah, I'm certainly not on the right. Definitely not.
Waiting for you to have your.
But they would see me on the right because they're so far left. Yeah, they're so far left that they see, their Overton windows different from mine. So what they see as the center is right next to them. They don't see the center as being far away from them, but they're far left, so the center is very far from them. Is the truth. Just like, Nick Fuentes is very far from the center. He's far right, Vaush and Lance and them are far left. I mean, you take somebody like Sean, you take somebody like Devin, and these are people that are more moderate. They're more towards the center. They're not very far from the center. And this is why we can get along with Sean, who's a conservative, when we're not, you know, because we're actually closer to each other than we are from the far left or the far right, you know, because we're both moderates. We're both closer to center than they are. Did Sargon's career die when Trump lost? Yeah, possibly.
He kind of seems to have gone away. I haven't
heard anything about Sargon in years. Like, I feel like even while Trump was president, I haven't heard much from him. I think his peak was right before the elections last year, and maybe a little after. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe like 2 years into Trump's presidency, he was already on the decline, right? He's probably more so now. A lot of those people were. A lot of people gained their prominence from the elections last year and went down. I'm sure a lot of people we haven't even noticed we're gonna see be more popular from these elections and stuff and blow up. Vaush came out of nowhere. I remember when he started becoming popular, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He came out of nowhere. Like, huh? And then I realized, he used to be part of Destiny's crew and this and that, and now him and Destiny are still kind of friends, but they disagree on a lot. They're always arguing.
Yeah. And
it's crazy. I was watching Destiny argue with Lance and Destiny's to a point where he hates arguing with these BreadTube people. He talks about it all the time. Yeah, remember we were watching that one where he was arguing with that non-compete guy who's like a full communist. He calls himself an anarcho-communist. And and that guy is ridiculous. And like everything he was saying, I remember watching his video after the debates and talking about how much he regretted talking to Destiny. He was like, I was going to go on Destiny, and I was thinking, I could maybe even either convince him to understand, and be into my thing, because, all these guys on the left really like Destiny because he was good at arguing against conservatives. But the reason he's good at arguing against conservatives is because Destiny's kind of in the middle. So they didn't realize he's really good at arguing far points. So he can argue against the far right and the far left. But the problem was the far right was more popular when Destiny was coming out, right? Like, that's what happened. So he was arguing the far right more, but now the far left is popular. So guess what? Destiny's arguing the far left, and they're not liking that he's arguing them well. They're not liking this. So this guy made a whole video. I might do a video on that too. We might do a live stream watching that too at one point, because that's pretty funny. Too. Yeah, but this guy makes a whole video talking about how Destiny is not our friend. We were looking up to Destiny because he was good at arguing against conservatives. And I was like, dude, Destiny never said he was on your side. That's your own fault. You just liked him because he was arguing against people on the far right. But now that he's arguing against your side, you're like, oh, he's not our friend. We should stop looking towards him to argue for us and blah, blah, blah. But basically, he did a debate it wasn't supposed to be a debate. It was more of an argument, but he totally failed. But he wanted to go and have Destiny understand anarcho-communism and try to get him to basically be into it, or convince him, or at least get him to understand it so that he could talk to his audience about it and hopefully spread it. Like, that's what he was thinking. But instead, the dude made a total ass of himself because he couldn't answer any of Destiny's questions. And Destiny said it from the bat. He's like, I hate arguing with these, like, in that debate from the beginning. He's like, see, this is why I hate debating against you far left guys and you socialist communist guys, because none of you can answer my questions. You constantly advocate for this side, for this economic policy, but you can't answer any questions on how you're going to do it. It never works out. And he just basically asks some basic questions like, oh, what's going to happen when, he wanted a worker co-op where the workers decide things, but with no hierarchy. And he's like, okay, well, let's say you're in a factory and there's 1/3 of the group of the factory is black people, the rest are white people, and now the majority of them are voting to oppress the black people at that job. You know what I'm saying? He's like, what are you gonna do about that? And he's and he can't answer these questions, And it's true, they have all these ideas that they think are gonna be fantastic utopian ideas, but when you comes down to it, you're like, you really think people are gonna react this way? You think people are gonna do this? And it's like, you sure have a lot of faith in human beings all coming together and working a certain way, when we have no proof that that would happen. You know, everything we see, all the patterns show that people don't work together all the time, you know, and things don't always work out. We have to, you know, we have to adjust to those things. But it's funny, yeah, you argue with these guys, and when you have certain questions, they can't answer them. They don't know. It's like, well, you're saying it's a better policy than we have now, but you can't answer questions of how we're going to handle certain problems like that arise from it.
And somehow they make that seem like that's like not having like a strong political side or something. But like I've heard people say like it's one thing to like change your mind or like adjust like on certain things, like in order to improve. But like I'm hearing people saying like everybody grifts, so it's okay to grift and stuff like that. And that's just a very odd thing to hear from people like that.
Which is funny because you often hear these BreadTube guys talking about the far right guys saying, "Oh, they're just grifters. They're these fucking grifters." And here it is. They're just shown that they are the grifters too. You know, they're doing the same thing. And it's like, does that justify it to them? Do they think that it's justified because the other side doing it? But then, like, I've never lived by all my life growing up. I've always learned the virtue of, you know, be better. You know, always be the better person. You know, always be better than the other person.
Yeah.
What's the point if you're not? You know, then you're just as bad. Never sink to their level, right? That's the other.
Yeah.
Don't sink to their level.
Stooping.
Be the better person.
Everybody's just stooping.
Yeah, but instead they're stooping to the same level, which makes me think also that maybe they're just as disingenuous and they just care about money. And they were just like, oh man, all these far right guys are making money doing this. Maybe we could do it for the far left and make money, you know? And it's really just about making money and being popular on the internet. Who knows?
Yeah.
At least that's what it feels like. That's how I feel about Candace Owens and like Dave Rubin, you know? So why isn't, you know, maybe Vaush and Surfs is doing the same shit, you know? Right now, where's the thing to say it's not? I can't even believe anything they say anymore. You know? Vaush just admitted to being a liar. How
long until I am no longer a Christian comes out for Dave?
Yeah, Dave Rubin, or he's like,
another 2 years.
An atheist, he used to argue for atheism big time. That's how he got his popularity. And now all of a sudden he's a Christian. You know, how long until he's not gay anymore? I'm going back in the closet, guys.
Doing the Milo thing.
Yeah,
I'm into black men or something like that. Or
it's crazy. I don't understand it, but that's the state of YouTube now. And this used to be the thing, like, it's funny because all this like debate stuff started with the atheist movement that happened like on YouTube. And it was atheists against, you know, Christian apologetics. And it was the atheist side that were the truth side. We used truth and logic to debate against Christians who had no truth and logic. They just had a faith-based belief, right? And they wanted to, and their whole goal was to, you know, debunk science and debunk evolution, which they couldn't do because they didn't have any of the facts on their side. You know, they just tried to do it by trying to like work around it. I remember Devin did a video of Kirk Cameron with Ray Comfort talking about how to convince someone to the atheism's wrong. And Kirk Cameron straight up says you have to work around their intellect, you know, like basically telling them that you have to, like, you know, form a cognitive dissonance in someone's mind and work around their brain, you know, because they're going to be arguing with you, and you have to basically make them go against facts. That's basically what he's saying, right? You have to make them go against facts to believe. Well, it's like, if you have to, that's exactly what Vaush is doing. If you have to make them go against facts to go to your side, then your side's not the factual side, right?
No. You're like setting up a whole like scenario in order for me to understand this or convince me of their argument. Like,
but that's what's going on, is we have these BreadTube guys. That's what they're the Christian apologetics. They're the ones working on faith because they have no idea. They don't have any proof that their side works. They have no proof that communism or socialism works, you know. They'll point to Scandinavian countries, which by the way are very white, using socialist systems, which by the way were created by white people. But yeah, they'll point to those and say, yeah, look, if they can do it. But then you look at those countries and you're like, yeah, but those countries pay over 40% tax on everything. You know, like they have VAT tax that's 25%, like a 25% VAT tax, And then they have a 40-something% like fucking other taxes. I'll add up together to like 40-something%. So they're paying their asses off in taxes. I remember Bernie tweeted something about, Denmark pays McDonald's employees $27 an hour. We pay them 7 something. And it's like, well, first off, that's bullshit because every state has a different minimum wage. Like here, the minimum wage is like $12.50 right now. It's going to be 15 in like a year or two. But so that's total bullshit. And then on top of that, you look at Denmark and you start equating the cost of living, how much tax gets taken out, how much VAT tax they have to pay on everything they buy, on top of the sales tax they have as well. And you end up, and when you cut it down, you end up finding out that they're really just paying them like $9 an hour. It breaks down. And then also the transfer rate from the money from, Denmark money to American money. And you end up really, it comes down to like, they're really paying people like $9 an hour, which is, some minimum wage in some states here is more than that. So. So it's insane to think that these things are better, but in the end, like this Tenet guy is saying, they're still capitalist countries. They just have some socialist, social programs.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm not against social programs, but you have to do them right. I'm not for social programs so much that we're paying 40-something% tax. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a bit much. Especially not getting anything back. That's why I was for UBI. I think UBI is better than making more social programs, because at least with UBI, you're collecting money to give money, and then people are getting money
and
back.
Then put into those things
and it's put back into the thing. And then cash transfer is better than giving people stuff, because then they can use that cash transfer to pay for anything they want. You don't have to worry about healthcare so much because people are getting money. They can use that for healthcare if they want, or they can use it for schooling if they want. They use it for other, whatever they need.
Yeah. They can save it if they want to. And
they can save it. They can start a business with it. Whatever they want to do with it, as opposed to, collecting that money just for specific things. Or the welfare system. Remember that argument? I argue with SJW 9000 about welfare or how UBI is better than welfare. And he ends up arguing for homeless, without even noticing, he ends up arguing for homeless people to receive less money than what I'm arguing for. And I'm like, but I'm telling you, UBI ends up giving them more money. So they end up better
just making
with less.
More of that.
Yeah. Not only gives them less money, but with less red tape, with less, with more control over the money, because when you get welfare, you get food stamps, you get, housing ticket vouchers and shit like that. And you can only use those for certain things,
Yeah.
Instead, why not just give them a straight $1,000 cash? That would be better,
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry. And then our money gets wasted because we're collecting income tax from us to put into the buildings, the welfare buildings, the employees, the supplies, the electricity, the utilities, all that shit. Everything you need to run the welfare system. And then and then what's left over is what goes to the poor people who need it, That's just the leftover stuff, but everything gets funneled through all this stuff, and that money goes to other things instead. When you could just do a direct cash transfer and people would get way more money. But instead, because you couldn't have UBI. Why can't you have UBI and welfare? I'm like, well, if you could figure out a way to do that, congratulations. But that's not what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? The only guy proposing UBI is proposing it in a way that you can't have both. So too bad. And UBI is better. So why not pick the UBI now, and try to fight for welfare later if you want, whatever. But wouldn't you want the thing that's better now? That doesn't make any sense. So he's arguing with me to say, no, if you can't give poor people both, then let them have the worst of it. Like, it's so stupid. But that's that all or nothing mentality. That's what they have. It really is. The progressive people are really what's ruining the Democrat Party, because liberals maybe want, people always make fun of like bleeding heart liberals and stuff. But liberals in the end up being reasonable. They understand the concept that things go in small steps. You know what I'm saying? And we try to take these little steps. Obama passed a healthcare that maybe is shit, but it's still better than nothing. But he passed a healthcare because he was able to say, I can't pass it all the way. Let me try to do as little, let me see what I can pass. And at least it's a step forward, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then other people,
like gotten it going.
and then other presidents later can add on to it and make it better, But liberals understand that. Progressives don't. Progressives want it all now or they want nothing. And it's always how it is. This is why you have AOC and Bernie who are like, full healthcare right now, universal healthcare right now. You got Jimmy Dore yelling, and for a now, do it now, and he's yelling at AOC and calling her all these names because she's not trying to pass it right now, like, and that's how progressives are. It's like, give us everything now or fuck you, you're a racist. We don't want anything from you, get out of our party, we don't want to align with you. And it really is an all or nothing attitude. It's like, if you don't give us what we want all the way, then we don't want anything to do with you. It's ruining the party. And it's the way now the younger people are that's just the way they see the Democrat Party now, and it sucks because that's really the smaller people, like that's the minority of the Democrat Party that progress. They're just so loud. They seem like they're the majority, but they're not. They're a very small minority of the Democrats. Most Democrats are reasonable, and understand the process that it takes time and, and you can't pass things when you're so extreme. You got to pass it small, and work on that. It's crazy. And it's the same with the right. You have far right people. The thing is the far right people, the people on the right, I think Republicans are better at keeping their crazies in check. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Look at this Marjorie Taylor Greene chick. AOC isn't ever going to get that would never happen to AOC. AOC is not going to get surprised. Yeah, AOC is not going to get booted from her position or anything like that. They're not. No. They're never even going to go for a vote for it. Meanwhile, she straight up lied and said Ted Cruz was trying to have her murdered. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, straight up said that.
Crazy straight
thing.
Up, and she won't apologize for it. She's exactly said that.
Straight up accused the congressman of trying to have her murdered.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, this Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's also saying crazy bullshit, she gets taken out. You know why? Because the Republicans are better at not tolerating bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The Democrats are failing right now because they're not calling out the bullshit from their side. They're not calling out. That's why Devin's been doing this for years. That's why I do it too. And there's some moderate people who do that. But they're not calling out the progressive. They're not calling out their crazies. They're not telling AOC, hey, keep your mouth shut about this and that. You're acting a little fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? You're making us look bad. They don't do that. The right will do that. The right are a lot about optics. And if they have people on their side that seem crazy, they'll have a talk. They'll be like, hey, keep it down. So now with Marjorie Taylor Greene, when it came down to the vote, guess what? Maybe she didn't have all Republicans voting against her, but some Republicans voted against her. You know what I'm saying? There were some in there that said, yeah, this chick makes us look bad. Let's get rid of her, The Democrats don't do that. If we had a vote against AOC to see if we get rid of AOC, you'd see that maybe like only one or two Democrats would vote against her. Which is strange. Yeah. The Democrats are strange with that. They need to learn how to call out their side. They don't do it. And it's not a good look. It's ruining the party and it's ruining the image of the party. Personally, I feel like Trump won the first election. Trump winning to me is a total fluke. And it was a fluke of just the right maelstrom of the time. That time was a perfect time for him to run. You had Hillary, who was talking, right in the middle of the whole feminist SJW thing running, saying, I'm with her, vote for me, I'm the woman president, let's vote in the first woman president, It was the perfect time, and you had all these people who were just sick of that, and here's this guy who's a completely ridiculous person, but he's saying, he's anti-feminist, he's anti-SJW, perfect, you know what I'm saying? It was the perfect time for him to run. And then on top of that, the DNC screwed over Bernie, who a lot of people want. So all the progressives were pissed at the Democrats and either refused to vote. Some people did a protest. Well, look, Tim Pool was a Bernie guy. He ended up voting for Trump. You know what I'm saying? He was a Bernie guy. How do you go from Bernie to Trump? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Before, and I think is what he said in the first time he votes for Trump.
Yeah, how do you go from Bernie to Trump? That makes no sense. But that's what happened. This is why I knew this time Trump wasn't going to win. I knew it. Because I know after those 4 years that all those people who either didn't vote out of because they were mad at the DNC or the people who switched over and voted for Trump because Bernie wasn't running and they hated Hillary. Hillary was not a likable person. And then culturally something was going on at the time with this feminism and SJW stuff. It was just a perfect maelstrom of social things that were going on that had Trump win that time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you look at it, last elections was the lowest turnout in history, right? Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I said it 4 years ago. After that election, I said it. I was like, I bet you any money after these 4 years, the next election is going to be one of the biggest turnouts in history.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It was the biggest turnout.
Did you call it?
Yeah, I called it. It was the biggest turnout in history, and Trump lost, you know, because all those people turned back around. I mean, Trump still got a lot of support. He still got a lot of support. I'm not going to say this time wouldn't have been a fluke if he won. He got a lot of support this time. And that wouldn't have been a fluke. But I think it was a fluke last time. And in these 4 years, he gained supporters and people who honestly wanted him. But then a lot of people who voted for him last time who were disillusioned with the other side saw the error of their ways and was like, all right, last time I voted for this guy, it's been the 4 years and what I thought would happen isn't happening, you know? So I didn't punish the Democrats. The Democrats are still doing the same shit, you know? It didn't work, you know? Basically, a lot of them thought that it would be a way to get back at the Democrats, and it didn't really do anything but screw themselves, you know?
Even the reaction, like, for the lady that was screaming no when Trump won, like that, like Devin had said, like before, that puts her reactions so like it's just such a watered down reaction now. Like these people are find me more votes, like storming the Capitol building, trying to like overturn an election.
Yeah.
And
it's funny,
like,
right? How long did the right make fun of that girl's reaction to Trump winning? Just so that in the next, just so in 4 years later, they charged the Capitol saying, stop the steal and get Pence, you know, like, what
find me these votes. Find me them.
With Trump called his vice president a traitor at one point. He deleted that tweet. That was right before he got banned from Twitter. But there was a tweet he put out calling Pence a traitor. Can you believe that? He called his vice president a traitor? Like, that's how fucking insane this dude is. And I don't get the love for Trump. I don't understand it. I think he's a fucking psychopath. And then, you know, people would be like, oh, TDS. And it's like, is it really? I mean, maybe with some people it's TDS. I understand that a lot of people call Trump out for things he doesn't say or do. But when people actually do call him out for his shit, then the people want to say that you have TDS. Like with Sam Harris. People were saying Sam Harris has TDS. I was like, what? I listened to that. Sam Harris was dead on. He was dead on about Trump all 4 years. Like, what are you talking about? He did a huge speech for when... He did a huge speech for when Trump was elected. That was dead on. If you listen to it now after the 4 years and you go back and listen to what he said about when he was elected, dead on, you know? And now I listened back like 2 days ago to his speech from November, his podcast from November from when Trump won, and he's dead on, dude. Everything he says is totally right. Yeah. See, look at this guy. Sam Harris has TDS. No, he doesn't. TDS. Sam Harris... Unless you're talking about the truth derangement syndrome, because really Sam Harris just speaks the truth. It's straight up right. I mean, I could go through that whole podcast and I could show you how all of that is correct. And he's totally right. Yeah,
it's funny, like you say, because people would be calling people out for not giving Trump credit for the things that he did, which were a good thing, you know, and. I remember seeing Devin was somebody that would like talk about the things that he did that were actually like correcting the things that people were blowing out of proportion with Trump. But then now people are just throwing around Trump derangement syndrome for just pointing out how
I call it TDSS. What everybody has, they have Trump dick sucking syndrome. They just want to suck Trump's dick so much that they excuse everything he does. Because they have their dick in their mouth, so. And that's what it is. It's actually the opposite. They think everybody has Trump derangement syndrome, but the truth is that they're so busy sucking Trump's dick that they can't see the things he does. It's like that thing where you're too close to see. You know what I'm saying? Like they're way too close to it to see the things that are going on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm reading this.
Sam Harris was a cunt? No, Sam Harris was totally right about that. Fuck Dave Rubin. Fuck Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a total fucking bullshit artist. Dave Rubin is 100% a grifter and bullshit artist. Like, why would Sam Harris want anything to do? If anything, Sam Harris should have made that speech years ago, like a way long time ago. He stuck with them for way too long. Like, he should have gotten rid of them a while ago. Never understood why Sam Harris was cool with those guys.
I never saw him like as somebody really a part of that group, really, of like whatever the intellectual dark web type of people were. Sam never really seemed to be somebody in that group.
Look at this guy. Debate me. Insults are not arguments. I'm not making arguments. I'm making insults. But it's true. I mean, regardless, insults can be true. Just because they're insulting doesn't mean they're not true.
What issue is this guy talking about? The reason you respect Sam Harris is that you never heard him speak an issue where you are an expert.
Yeah, but what are you an expert in then? What are you an expert in? Probably absolutely nothing. You just finished accusing Vaush of poisoning the well? No, I accused Vaush of admitting that he lies to get people to go to his side. I'm not trying to get any of you to go to my side. Fuck all of you. Everybody in the chat, fuck you all, and go hang on your side if you want. I don't give a shit about any of you. I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm here to talk because I want to talk, because this is entertaining to me. What do I give a shit about what you believe? I don't give a shit. Like I said, Peterson and Rubin are idiots. The way he exited was childish. And lumping Eric Weinstein? I don't remember him lumping Eric Weinstein in it. I don't remember him naming anybody. He literally doesn't name anyone, though. He just says he's leaving the IDW, and I don't even think he was talking about Jordan Peterson. I listened to that yesterday, I think it was. And I literally think that was just about Dave Rubin. And he's just saying, I'm leaving the IDW, as in, like, I don't want to be part of that anymore. But I don't think he has anything against Jordan Peterson. I don't really like Jordan Peterson, but I don't really think he has anything against him. I don't think he has anything against Eric Weinstein either. Matt, he didn't name anybody.
No.
So I don't know. I listened to it twice, because not only did I listen to it from Sam Harris's podcast, but then I listened to it on the Dave Rubin clips guy, because he made a clip about, which I thought was great a few months ago. We should probably watch that. That was pretty good. But he did a little clip about Dave Rubin's allies are all leaving him, and that was part of the beginning of that clip too.
That's kind of
and
funny.
I think it is specifically to Dave Rubin, but he doesn't want to name him, but I think so. Was Sam Harris trying to bridge the is-ought gap, the is-ought gap in his philosophy book, and committing basic fallacies while insulting the philosophers that debunked him centuries ago? That doesn't even make sense. That's retarded. That doesn't even make sense, like, right? He was debunked centuries ago.
Explain it like I'm 5.
Yeah, right? Like, what is he like? I didn't realize Sam Harris was centuries years old. Huh? Rationality Rules? Rationality Rules is retarded. What? Who listens to that guy? I've never listened to Rationality Rules. I don't like him. I think I watched like 2 videos of his, and I'm like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, why would I listen to this guy? He's got nothing good to say. Why listen to anyone? Everyone's in it for the money. I kind of agree with that, but some people are there trying to get to the truth. And I'd rather listen to that than... And on top of that, some of it's entertaining, and I'd rather listen to someone who's entertaining. I mean, I'm 41 years old. What are you going to debate me on and tell me that I haven't experienced myself? Now you sound disingenuous. Okay, well, eat a dick. Does that sound disingenuous to you when I tell you to eat a dick? Right? Go eat a dick. Does that sound disingenuous to you? I think that's totally honest and true. Enter text. You should change your name to Enter Dick.
Enter here.
Yeah, enter here. Go eat a dick. That sounds about right. To the truth, that guy is junk. Nice consistency. Okay. I don't see how that has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
If he's junk, then why would I listen to him? You could tell the truth and be junk at the same time, you know? Those aren't mutually exclusive, are they? I wouldn't think so.
I don't understand why he's asking about homosexuality, though.
What
oh,
is
sorry,
my
I
problem
didn't
with
mean to interrupt.
homosexuality? I don't know. What's your problem with it? Do you feel insulted when I tell you to go eat a dick? Because if you do, then maybe you're the one with the problem, right? Right? I don't even know if you're a girl or not. So how would I have even known it was fucking homophobic? I condemn your homophobic statements. Okay, you know what? I condemn your retardation. How about this?
I haven't paid attention to these debate me bro boys since the Trump election. It's boring. Get a new bit, guys.
Yeah, same here. I'm not even big on debates. I think debates are super boring. I don't really listen to them. The only time I really watch debates is if it's like a friend of mine or somebody I like, or if I think it's going to be fun, like a fun, entertaining debate, then I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched anything really like that either. It's kind of gotten a little boring to watch some of those things. I like watching the ones where I can laugh a little bit at them.
Yeah, they can be really boring, man. There's a lot of boring people. Like Destiny. I know a lot of people were into Destiny for a while, and he was really boring. But it's maybe if it was shorter, but a lot of these people do like 3-4 hour debate. Why am I going to sit there and listen to you debate for 3 or 4 hours? That's so boring.
Yeah.
Unless I really like one of your personalities and you're going to be funny and make me laugh. Like, what? I have other things to do. Like, I'm going to sit here and spend my time listening to you debating. Like, even with that one that we just watched right now, I only watched that part that we watched right now. Like, I didn't watch it. Remember, we were watching it last night, and that was around the same time we stopped it. Yeah. There's still 3 hours on that. Like, who's gonna watch that? Like, there's still 3 hours.
They were going back and forth with their tweets after a certain point. It wasn't even about an argument or talking points they were talking about.
Now, when Sean goes and debates people, I watch that because I like Sean. He's funny. He doesn't make his debates boring. You know, like he'll throw jokes in there, and you know, and it's just fun to watch him. And he's a friend of mine, so I like to listen to my friends.
In the end, all things you enjoy will be destroyed.
No, it won't.
Like, you mean when we'd all die eventually? Like what?
Name one thing I enjoy that'll be destroyed. I can't think of one. I mean, I'm 41. By the time things disappear, I'll probably be dead by then. You know, like what are you talking about? I like to play video games. Do you think video games are going to be dead by the time I die? Like, I don't think so. Movies, I like movies. I watch all those. You know, I don't see movies disappearing. I don't think that's going to be a dying media anytime soon, or television shows.
What is there
that I enjoy that's going to be destroyed? I don't know. Free speech.
Music.
I don't believe you. I don't believe that free speech will be destroyed. Yeah, I don't believe that. Benny, speaking of funny debates on superpower broadcasting, some libertarian literally said that the FBI took retarded people to the woods and got them drunk. That wasn't real. That wasn't real, man. You fell for a jig. That was that newspaper or that media company or whatever. They're like The Onion. I just seen that. I saw that yesterday, and I believed it myself for a while, but then I found out. I forgot what they're called. They're called like Business Insider or something, but they're like The Onion. It's fake. Yeah, like Thrax said, press X to doubt. Yeah, 100%. Uncensored movies? I've never watched a censored movie. What movie is censored? If you watch it on broadcast television, they're censored, but if not, you watch a movie, it's never really censored. I mean, what movies are censored? Unless you live in another country, but...
Are you talking about YouTube or something like that, where some things need to be censored in order for the content to be seen? Like,
I mean, companies censor themselves. They're allowed to do that. Like if Paramount releases a movie and they don't think they want to release a certain thing, and like say the movie covers a topic maybe for like 5 minutes that they don't want to have out there, they can censor that. They can take that out. That's their own. It's their own product. They can do whatever they want with it. The person making the product can choose to leave and make a movie somewhere else to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But in the end, the government's not censoring any movies. I mean, that's why you can watch... That's why we have, like, non-mainstream movies, underground movies. You can watch any, like, indie films and stuff like that. Not worry about those things. Everything will be streamed and combed through and erased. When? When is that? I'll be dead by then, probably. Like, maybe that's a problem for you to worry about because you're young, but for me, I'm not worried about that. By the time that happens, I'm going to be long gone. Like, I'm not worried about that. This is what I talk about fear mongering. Like, people swear that things like this didn't happen. You know, this censorship thing has been going on since I was a child. You know, like when I was a kid, they would be like, they're going to censor everything, blah, blah, blah. They're going to do this and that. And here I am, 40 years later, and everything's still the same, you know? And and they're still telling you the same things, like, oh, degeneracy and, censorship, and America's going down. There's no more America. There's not going to be any more America.
End of the world.
Yeah, end of the world. It's always the same shit, man. It's constant fear mongering. It's all bullshit. The human mind is programmed to do that. The human mind is programmed to see the worst. And some people have no control over that, and some people will always see the worst and always fear the worst. And it's like, people say this forever. It doesn't happen. People always think we're living in the worst time too, but it's actually the best time ever. There was no better time than right now. Like, never. It's just that you didn't live.
Changed.
No, things have changed in the 40 years. Things have gotten a million times better in the 40 years. When I was a kid, you couldn't say shit on television. Now you can. When right before I was born, and I would watch the stuff from the decade before I was born, they couldn't say damn. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't even say damn on television,
What the hell?
Yeah. Well, let's go back 100 years and go to the Spanish flu. You think the Spanish flu was better? You know what I'm saying? We've had pandemics before, but this is the best time still, even with a pandemic. Of course it is. We have the most freedoms now. We have the most money now. We have the most technology to make our lives better.
I think that's what Elf is like talking about, how like these people, like kind of similar to Dave Rubin and stuff, they just dwell on the negative of things, and just doom and gloom is all you're expecting and looking for at every corner.
Go back 50 years and you had to work 3 times harder than you do now. Go back another 50 years and you had to just constantly work all day just to feed yourself. You know what I'm saying? And to feed your family. You had to till farms and do all this shit. You had no technology to help you. So if you were married, your wife had to wash clothes in the sink, wash dishes by hand. You know what I'm saying? Everything was by hand. There was no technology 100 years ago,
Yeah.
50 years ago, you had a little more technology. Things got easier. Now it's even easier than then. 50 years... When I was a kid and I wanted to go hang out with my friend, I couldn't just grab my phone and text him. I had to go take a walk and yell out his window, yo, 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 John, you want to hang out? Yo, We used to have a call, cuckoo. We'd be fucking walking down the block. You walk down your friend's block and you go, cuckoo, cuckoo, and they look out the window, yo, what up? Be like, yo, you want to chill? Let's go chill. All right. Now I can just pick up my phone and go text my friend, yo, what you doing? You want to hang out? But what would happen is sometimes I would walk over there and go, cuckoo, and nobody answers. They're like, damn, I just walked 10 blocks for nothing. There's nobody around. I guess I'll go back home, Life is so much easier now. Yeah, people want to be like, oh, everything's falling apart. No, it's not. No, it isn't. Stop it. Yeah, Thrax knows all about the cuckoos. I bet Les knows too. Les is probably like around my age. Les knows, man. Shit wasn't people swear. You know what it is that you're relegated to your time period. So let's say you're 20 years old. All you know is those 20 years, and everything before those 20 years seems so much better to you, but it's not true. When I was a kid and I was 20 years old, I used to romanticize the 60s and be like, man, the hippies had it great. And I would listen to the Doors and Led Zeppelin, be like, man, the hippies had it so good. All they did was smoke weed and do this. Is bullshit. They had their problems too. You know what I'm saying? It's just we only see the good side of that, but they had their problems too, man. Life was not easy in the 60s. Life was not better. You got these far-right people who romanticize the 50s. The 50s had tons of problems, man. Constant problems. People did not live the way they wanted to live in the 50s. They called it like... They seem to think that it was like a super free time, but it wasn't. People were covered in shame and had to live certain ways because they were shamed into it. Who wants to live like
Yeah.
that? You know what I'm saying? Look how often you would see this in Hollywood back then. Gay men would marry women, have kids with them, and then come out as gay, and ruin the entire family. You know what I'm saying? And that was all because they were ashamed of being gay, and they had to have this appearance that they weren't. So in the 50s, they were marrying people, and lying to those people and creating families that were lies, Who was it? Rock Hudson. That happened with Rock Hudson, He was gay. He got married and had kids, and it was all a lie, And devastated his family when he came out and said, all right, I'm gay. This is who I am. I can't help it.
Yeah.
And I'm living a miserable life pretending not to be gay,
Or like women staying with like abusive spouses or something, because divorce was probably looked at a different way or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
And people would just accept abuse because getting divorced was seen as something evil, Nowadays, if you're getting abused, it's not as bad to leave, Ever hear someone say that they couldn't make a certain game or movie today? This is censorship. You refuse to see, but you can make those movies. Those people are just scared to. That's their own fault. And there is a shame thing too, like in the 50s. But guess what? You couldn't make those movies. You could make those movies in the 50s, but in the 50s they would be offensive, But you can still watch those movies, and people can still make those movies now. You just have to not be afraid of the people calling you out. That's it. That's all it is. You have freedom of speech from the government. You don't have freedom of speech from the people. You have to fight against those people. Why are they scared? I don't know. That's their own fault. They're scared because they want to be scared. They don't have to be scared. Oh, someone. But they don't have to be scared. They just are. That's just the way that things are now. But also, stuff like that existed before. It's not like it never did. If you want to go back, like I said, go back 50, 60 years, and it was communism. Anybody who spoke different from capitalism, you didn't even have to be a communist. You just had to be, have the assumption that you're a capitalist, or say something that seemed off, and they would be like, oh, he's a communist, let's, and they would get blacklisted, and same thing would happen. You would not be able to make movies. You'd never work in Hollywood again. We're kind of like, generations go through like this cyclical factor, and this will pass. Like, people see this and they say, oh, it's going to get worse. But it might get worse for a little while, but eventually it's going to get better. It's the same thing that happened in the 50s when people would blacklist people who they thought were communist. Eventually that went away. McCarthyism went away eventually, That's basically what we're going through now, is the cycle of McCarthyism again, but it's going to go away. And it's nowhere near as bad as it was in the 50s. In the 50s, it really was like you would never hear from that person again. At least now people have other ways of being out there, It's not like in the 50s, if you couldn't work in Hollywood again, you could make like a YouTube channel. Like nowadays, you could make a YouTube channel. There is a problem catering to Chinese censors. Yeah, that is a problem. That's the thing with money, though. They don't have to do that. That's what I'm saying. They just do it because it's a good way to get a lot of money. Yeah, the pendulum swings definitely. I would say Les is older. He probably knows how there's always a counterculture, and it always reverses everything, This is why the 50s were super repressive. And so then you had the backlash of the 60s. That was a complete opposite of that, where it was all free love and open, and, and that went too far. You know what I'm saying? And they swung the pendulum too far, and they all became like druggies and all this stuff until, the pendulum hit the middle after that, and people kind of grew up and became, started working and stuff. But that's how it happens over and over again. It's a counterculture back and forth. I remember the 90s being like this too, and there was a big push for feminism in the 90s as well. And that kind of faded by the end of the 90s. I don't know how old you are. I was saying before that I don't know. I was like, if you were young, then maybe you don't understand like how these things circle around and how we have a cyclical nature of generations in society. There are voices almost every generation. Yeah, definitely. It seems to be like there's always a generation that's far one way, then far another way, and then there's a middle generation, and then it goes again, far one way, far another way, then a middle generation. And it always seems to do that. It's like a 3-generation thing. And I always find it to be like a 30 year rotation. Like when I was in the 90s, I always felt like the 90s was a lot like the 60s, and people romanticized the 60s a lot. And then 2000s, we started getting to be like the 70s, and people romanticized 70s. Like 2010s, we got big into 80s again, right? And there was all this 80s stuff. Now we're starting the 2020s. It's still kind of like the 80s, but you're gonna start seeing like it being like the 90s again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Satanic Panics, where D&D and heavy metal was demonic, and, you know, people wanted to censor those things and fight, and we had to have John Denver and, you know, Dee Snider, fucking Twisted Sister, go fucking, and Frank Zappa go talk to Congress and testify that, hey, our music isn't satanic. Like, you know, this is free speech. This happens over and over again. Exactly. It happened again, 70s and 80s. It happened again where they were trying to censor music. A huge push to censor music. And what ended up happening is, you know, the compromise of putting labels on music of explicit lyrics, you know. Same thing happened with video games. 90s, you know, people wanted to shut down violent video games in the 90s, and the compromise there was to make a rating system, you know, for video games. The TikTok is cancer? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't really pay attention much to TikTok, so I can't say. My view of TikTok is what do you call that? Like curated for me through like the people I follow on Twitter, because I don't use TikTok. So whenever I see TikTok, it's stuff that people I follow on Twitter post of TikTok, and it's curated by that, so it doesn't seem that bad. Oh, Sean wants to come in.
I was banned off Twitter, but I mean TikTok, but I still enjoy it.
If it banned
Tiffany
you, then
made
it
me
is
a new
cancer.
account.
If it banned you, then it is cancer. Remember the crowds outside of concert halls praying for my soul because Ozzy was going to say, yeah. And that happened, guess what? In the 90s, that happened again with Marilyn Manson, right? Where, you know, all these all these super ultra Christian families were trying to shut down Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
That's funny. Sean, you there?
Yeah, it is.
There he
Hey,
is.
Sean.
Yeah.
What up, Sean?
Yeah, no, we go through like rotations of PC-ness. Like that's what the first like run of South Park was about. It's how like PC everybody was getting.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah, and then it went away, and then they started doing the PC thing again recently, right? It's funny.
Like people forget that in the 90s, Al Gore's wife was huge into like video games being too violent.
Oh, she was the one leading. There was a thing called the PMRC, and she was the one leading it. Tipper Gore was leading in the 80s. She was leading the thing against music and was trying to ban violent or sexual music and trying to shut it down completely. They ended up, you know, they lost, so they ended up going with the compromise of putting the explicit lyrics labels on them because they couldn't shut down free
Gore,
speech.
Yeah, which helped sell the records. But
which made it sell more. Yeah, you're right.
But Gore was for censorship of violent content, and then he ran against Bush, who was for censorship of violent content. Like, that was the 2000 election, part of it, anyway. Mm-hmm. And everybody just kind of forgets that was both parties.
Yeah, that was both parties, you're correct. Yeah, both sides have
but
that.
Even the Chinese thing, where they're like, they have to meet Chinese standards in order to get seen in that country. Mm-hmm. Like, even that's because we haven't figured out how to make, like, streaming content as profitable as DVDs were, because now every movie has to make money in the theater, and when you have 1 billion people, then you got a lot of tickets to sell there. Like, so that's
China
not going to last forever.
Makes a lot of money, but that's not going to last forever. Once China stops going to theaters, or we're not making as much money from them going to theaters, then we're not going to be making those movies towards them anymore. Then it's going to be more.
What's great about that is the Chinese make fun of American movies that pander to them, like, you know, that have like the third act for no reason in China. So, like, eventually they're gonna get tired of that shit.
Oh, they hated Mulan. There was a huge backlash in China over Mulan. They totally hated that movie, and it was a movie that Disney made to pander to China. You know, it was funny. I think they released it in China first before they even released it here. They hated it.
Do you know that The Eternals is coming out in 2 days?
What? No.
Yeah, it is. Look,
Don't tell me
check the release date.
Do not tell me that. I'm gonna get too excited. What? No way. Eternals.
I've seen no marketing for it. It's supposedly coming out in 2 days.
No way. It says November 5th when I looked it up now.
No, that was last November.
No, 2021 it
No,
says.
no, it says Eternal's release date, February 12th, 2021, when I just looked it up on the Google machine.
I don't know. I'm looking at it now, and it's telling me November 5th, 2021, United States. It says maybe in another country.
Oh, they've moved it forward. Okay.
Ah, man, you got me excited. I was about to start jumping for joy. I do see one that says, oh, I see February 3rd, 2020. That was last year. So I'm seeing, oh, that was just an update. Let's see, release date on, yeah, November 5th, 2021, it says on IMDb. Oh my god, man, you just had me too excited. You're an asshole.
But what's funny is that, like, as movies are getting more, like, rebooty and cash grabby, like, TV is getting more, like, elaborate and big budget, and, like, there's better storytelling. Like, TV, you remember, it used to be, like, a TV actor used to be, like, a dirtsman.
Yeah, TV used to be the cheap thing, and you know, movies were the high quality one, you know.
Now but like TV actors used to be looked down on.
Oh yeah,
and now like you know, big actors do TV shows.
You knew an actor was failing when they went from being in movies to being on TV, and you're like, oh yeah, they're done. You know, they're not. Their career's over. But nowadays, yeah, it's the opposite. Nowadays, they go on TV, and their careers get even bigger now.
But everything's getting worse. We need to go back to 1953.
We need to go backwards. Oh, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Buffering. Oh well, you missed most of the stream, right? You didn't hear all the Vaush stuff.
Yeah, I was doing some stuff.
Well, basically,
my girlfriend made a really nice dessert. She like made this 3-layer frozen chocolate mousse cake.
Ooh.
It's amazing.
That sounds good.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I just ate it. I was like,
But basically, Destiny and Vaush were debating, and Vaush basically admitted that if the left, or like, I'm gonna equate it to him talking about BreadTube, but if they stopped lying, that they would lose the war, is basically what he was saying. Basically admitting that they lie, right, in order to get people to their side. He was kind of saying like his main goal, where Destiny was saying his main goal was to be truthful and find facts and what the truth is. Vaush was saying his main goal was to lead people away from fascism, which I find funny because to me that seems like he's saying if people found out the truth, they're going to become fascists. Like, that's so weird. It doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of what he's saying, right? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I already knew that because I remember he was saying when he reacted to like my like post-debate recap, he was saying, because I pointed out, I'm like, you know, there's no attempt to like steel man your opponent or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not my job to present your argument as good as possible and then rebut it. And it's like, that literally is like part of being able to debate.
Well, he doesn't have to recite it, but he at least has to understand your argument 100% before rebutting it, you know? Which the point of him steel manning it is to understand if he understands it or not. It's for you to know if he gets it. Because usually what happens is, right, you'll present an argument and then they'll respond with something that you're like, but that doesn't even make sense to my argument. Like, that doesn't rebut my argument. And they're like, yes, it does. And it's like, all right, well, maybe there's a misunderstanding. And you're straw manning me, so now steel man me so I can tell you if you have my argument right. But what ends up happening is they end up straw manning. And that's what he's basically saying, I guess, by saying it's not his job, is basically saying that he's allowed to straw man you, I guess. But it's what they do. They lump everybody together and they straw man everyone. So we've seen it time and time again. Mm-hmm. And complete no charitability at all. Like, completely. It's always like, you know, I remember the first time Sean spoke to Lance, they did that like before their debate, they did like a little spot where they talked to each other, right? For like, I think it was for like 20 minutes or something. And you could just tell Lance's entire goal was to try to paint Sean as a racist and try to like argue him into a corner where he would have to say something racist or something, you know. And when he couldn't, he would just call whatever, you know, he would just make things up and straw man your argument and to turn you into a racist, basically. You can, just hearing them, you know that's their strategy, you know, and then they try to go for that.
I think one of the most telling things about the first Lance conversation is, like, I came on to talk, and, like, the first thing he went to do was readjust his title and his little subtitle and his graphics and all that to let everybody know that I was there, rather than like listen to anything I was saying.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He wasn't listening.
It's all about the show.
Yeah, it's all about the show. I've seen that a lot with people where they're having debates, but they're with the SJW 9000 guy. He's having debates or he's having people on talking to him and he's too busy looking at the chat or doing other stuff. And you're like, what are you doing, bro? Like, pay attention to your guest. Like, why are you looking at the chat? And it'll cut you off in the middle of your argument to be like, yo, blah, blah, blah. You really think that? Remember those? I'm talking to him and he starts arguing with some guy in the chat who said the AOC is a Muslim, and he actually believes that person. I was like, dude, that's a troll. Like, you think that person really thinks that? He's trolling you. Like, you can't tell that person's trolling you. And I'm in the middle of talking to him, and he's like, yo, blah, blah, blah. You really think she's a Muslim? I'm like, no, that guy's a troll, bro. Like, just block him. Like, what are you doing?
Look at my little cake.
That's a very nice cake.
Oh, that's nice.
Very good-looking cake.
It takes hours.
Is it what kind of cake is it?
So it's like a chocolate mousse cake.
Oh.
But it's like frozen and there's like 3 different layers of it. The milk and the dark chocolate kind of blend together. So you have to like make each layer and have them set.
Let me see if I can show it in the chat.
I think this is debatable that it could be a pie. I don't know. This makes me think of the cheesecake debate.
It comes out like, so there's like a cookie crumble on the bottom, so it comes out like the ice cream cake that you get from like a Carvel. Like, very similar to that.
She doesn't know what Carvel is. What are you talking about?
Oh, do you not have Carvel over there?
You think she knows what Carvel is?
Hang on. Let me do
she's gonna look it up because she doesn't know what it is.
Oh my god! Have you ever gotten an ice cream cake?
She knows what it is. There's the cake. If you guys can see it. No.
C. How do you spell it? CARVAL? Yell.
Yell.
She doesn't know what it is. I would never assume that they would have it in Canada. I'd never assume that.
Here, Carvel cakes.
The Beastie Boys on their first album had a song about Cookie Fuss, which was a cake that an ice cream cake Carvel would make.
Oh, but I really like.
You never had an ice cream cake?
Yeah, of course I have. Oh my god, it's one of my favorites. Still.
Yeah, it's like that because it's like chocolate, like ice creamish, mousse-ish.
Yeah, I think Carvel were the first ones to make ice cream cakes, right? I don't remember anybody else.
I don't think we have that. I don't know. I'm going to say no. I agree with Elf. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't assume there was Carvels in... Carvel wasn't even all around the U.S. I think that was specifically maybe like certain areas, like maybe on the coasts. But I don't think it was even all in the U.S. Everywhere in the U.S.
Gango's not listening to the stream. He's like, what is that?
How dare he?
Yeah, he's asking if it's like a tiramisu. It is kind of like a tiramisu. Like, like a similar structure. And it was really good. My girlfriend's like, wait for it to unfreeze before you eat it.
I can't wait.
And no, I just picked it up like a disc and I ate it.
Womp womp womp. What do you think of Aunt Jemima's new name, Sean?
Oh, I saw that on Twitter. I was cracking up.
I don't even care that they changed. I don't even care that changed the name, but what I care about, it's like Pearl Milling Company totally does not roll off the tongue. Like, what a shitty name to pick to replace Aunt Jemima. It sounds like a name it does.
And it looks like, since it what you call it, So just like the same color scheme of the original box for the pancake mix, it looks like it's a knockoff brand of it.
Someone needs to
Yeah,
do
it
a
does look like
skit
a
like
knockoff brand.
this. Someone needs to do, you know, the all fruit commercial where they're like, pass me the all fruit, and then one guy's like, pass me the grape jelly, and the grandma like almost has a heart attack
The
because he
grape
said.
jelly. Yeah, I remember that.
Someone needs to say
I remember
for Pearl Miller with the
I remember
pass me
that
the
with
Pearl Miller.
I don't know why, but I remember
Pass
that
me
with
the
a
Aunt
country
Jemima's.
accent. Did they have like a country version of that one? Pass the grape jelly, right?
Grape jelly.
Yeah, pass the grape jelly, and like, grape jelly. Oh, and the grandma would faint and shit. Like, oh.
They're fanning her.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't believe.
They called it.
But someone needs to be like, pass me the Pearl Miller, and then pass me the Aunt Jemima's, and like, oh,
Pearl Milling Company is that's way too long of a name. It doesn't flow at all. Like, why? I don't get it. They couldn't pick a better name than that.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It's very strange. A Pearl Mill might get mistaken for another brand. It might. I mean, they kept.
Sounds like beer.
They kept everything else the same. Like the box looks basically exactly the same. They just took her face out of it and put the image of the Pearl Milling Company and put the name on there. But it looks exactly the same. But like Sean said, it looks like a ripoff. You know, like a no frills ripoff company, like that you would get like a knockoff.
I just went to the store and bought pancake mix, and I found the real one.
Oh.
A real Aunt Jemima?
Yeah, look. I put it in the main chat because I knew the left was going to stop me from having the pancake to enjoy.
See, I live in a Hispanic area, so my pancake syrup was always Tia Guadalupe. I'm just making that up.
It went over my head. I fell for it. Like, oh, I've never heard of that one, was what I was literally about to say.
Yeah. I think they took Uncle Ben off the Uncle Ben's rice too, right?
Oh. I think that was the next one to
or
go.
At least they're or at least that's the next one, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy too, because neither of those are really. I think maybe the old school. I don't know if you remember the real old school Aunt Jemima. That one was kind of like. I can see that one, but they changed that a long time ago to a more like sophisticated looking black woman that doesn't seem racist at all. I remember the older one had like the hair thing, the head thing, the little like wrap towel thing,
kerchief or something.
Oh yeah, if you look at Aunt Jemima through the years, it definitely is like a racist stereotype.
100%. But not in the later one. The later one, they made her just seem like a nice looking black woman. She didn't have she had nice hair.
This lady on this box was like.
Yeah, which that one was fine. They should have just left. Why couldn't they just leave that one? But they had to take off the black woman all in general, and then it's like, why can't we have black women on pancake boxes? Like, is that doesn't? It seems like you're like such an overcompensation, right?
Look, I don't think it's a huge deal, but to be fair, like the name even Aunt Jemima comes from a character from like a minstrel show. So, like, that's what they're like.
Is it really,
though?
I would need to see something on that.
No, it definitely does. The founder, like, went to one of these shows, and he liked the character. Like, and she even originally looked like that. So I understand, like, that, like, it's the mammy stereotype that is a real stereotype. But at the same time, they did this to respond to George Floyd, which is ridiculous.
Uncle Ben, too, says right here, following the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd, Mars Inc. announced in June 17th, 2020 that it would be evolving the brand's identity. This is Uncle Ben, including the brand's logo. The move followed just hours after Quaker PepsiCo changed the name and logo of its Aunt Jemima brand amid accusations of racism. As advertised on September 23rd, 2020, Mars Inc. will replace Uncle Ben's name with Ben's Original. So now he's not an uncle, now he's just Ben. Ben's Original. What? That's so weird. Ben's Original? Well, the weird thing with Uncle Ben is nobody even asked them to do that. They just did it on their own. Like, nobody said Uncle Ben's racist. They just did it on their own. Seeing Aunt Jemima do it, I guess they wanted to preempt it. Like, people were literally saying Aunt Jemima one was racist.
I mean, they got really salty because there's a lot of like black people on like food products that originated in the South. So I don't know what's the deal with Uncle Ben unless he was cheating on Aunt Jemima. So I don't really know what's up with that.
He's also a nice looking black dude. He got a suit on, a black tie, like a little bow tie. Doesn't look like it's like a racist representation of him. He looks like a nice guy, a smart man. Made good rice. I don't get it.
You're racist, Al, because you think a black guy in a suit looks nice. That's colonial dress.
Colonial. Like, you know,
I mean, it's really funny because you can go to like gift shops in Italy or other parts of Europe and find like Adolf Hitler whiskey, and they're all over Asia's too. Like, it's really it's a weird place where we drew the line.
That is weird. Watch Uncle Ben is Mr. Steal Your Girl. This guy's saying Rogan shot himself in the foot moving his podcast of YT. I don't think so. They paid him millions of dollars. No. I think regardless of what happens to the podcast, he's still set for life. Like, I don't think it matters to him at all.
Yeah, they paid him a bunch of money, and he and it's only for like 5 years.
Yeah, and it's only for 5 years. If he wants to, he can go back to YouTube after those 5 years. But I mean, he got paid so much. I don't even know if he wants to. After 5 years, he might just call it quits altogether and be like, "Oh, I'm good." You know, that's crazy amount of money they gave him.
But he wasn't even really like, people don't realize that he wasn't mainly on YouTube just because you listen to him there. It was always like the audio downloads.
Yeah, it was on iTunes and all those things and all the podcast services.
Yeah, except for Spotify, weirdly.
Yeah. But now Spotify has an exclusivity, I guess. But that's, like you said, it's only for 5 years. So even all these that he released on Spotify are probably going to be on all the other platforms after 5 years, right? Like every episode he does on Spotify.
I don't know how that works, because he can still throw clips and whatnot.
Yeah, I still see they put clips on YouTube. They just don't put the full thing. But I don't know if it's an exclusivity where it's going to permanently stay on Spotify, what he does for Spotify, or after the 5 years, he can take all that and put it everywhere. You know? But even still, after 5 years, he can still leave and go somewhere else, if he wants. I
just got a notification that I ordered flowers because I'm a classy guy.
That's gay.
And I got a notification that was like, your sympathy package was sent today. And I'm like, it's not a sympathy package. It's for Valentine's Day. Yeah, what stupid flower internet?
It's not Valentine's Day.
Why would they? No, but that's what it's for. They're like, your sympathy package just updated.
Your sympathy package? That's weird.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Like, I guess I can't buy flowers unless I ordered like a sorry you're dead package. For Valentine's Day. Package.
You're gonna die. Maybe they're sending you coronavirus. So they're telling that's why it's a sympathy package.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alright, so I'm gonna end the stream. I think I talked about Vaush and all that. That's all I really wanted to do. And talk to Chris about eating her red hot pepper peppers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was fun.
She had a fun time today.
Are you eating the pepper?
I already did.
She already did it.
Oh, is there a video of it?
Yeah, it was streamed earlier today.
Where?
On Tonky Time.
On Tonky Time.
Oh my god. Everybody needs to go check that out and like and subscribe over at Tonky Time.
Yeah. And watch Chris eat a hot pepper.
Sean.
A bunch of hot peppers. How many did you eat? Yeah, like 5, 6?
4. I think 4 was. Yeah. I think it was 4.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, you were so close.
Can I see video of it?
I put it in the main chat.
You're a dummy.
Oh, okay. No, but video of you
Also
eating the
here.
pepper, so I have confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. We're live on camera when we were doing it.
Wait, you're 5'11", Chris?
Yeah, of course. You didn't know?
Oh my god.
I'm like
She's a giant.
tall. I'm a tall
This is a
glass of
giant.
water. Come on.
Oh my god. How much my life has just changed.
Yeah. I'm shocked you didn't know this. I had a growth spurt recently.
She's a
I
giant.
mean.
All right. Well, thanks
Alright,
everybody
I found
for
the
watching. If anything, I'll
Later,
stream
guys.
soon again. Maybe next week, or I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Maybe we'll go over that the non-compete one next time. That'll